score goals, and so far I think he's lived up to that mantle.
Great noise inside the stadium. We get underway. Nottingham Forest defending the clock end inside the Emirates Stadium. The goal away to our right. Jesse Lingard is immediately on the ball on the edge of the Arsenal box, and Saliba hurriedly clears with his left foot. The one change for Nottingham Forest, he's just touched the ball. Renan Lodi, the Brazilian on loan from Atletico Madrid, another one of the new players that joined the club in the summer, is starting at left back. So Nico Williams is the one to miss out this afternoon. He's on the bench. Otherwise, same team that beat Liverpool with the Taiwo Awoniyi goal last week. Dean Henderson in goal, Serge Aurier, Steve Cook, Scott McKenna and Lodi the back four. Ryan Yates, Swiss international Remo Freuler, Cheku Kouyaté in midfield, and Morgan Gibbs-White and Jesse Lingard, who's got a good goal-scoring record against Arsenal, 3 for Manchester United and 1 in his short spell at West Ham. They support Awoniyi. Lodi with an early challenge, lets Bukayo Saka know he's there, straight through the back of him. Free kick for Arsenal. He is precious goods, Bukayo Saka, extremely important to Arsenal, so Arsenal fans will be a little concerned. He's a marked man, Glenn.
Well, I'm sitting up here and I'm not Arsenal, but I'm worried about him down there because we've got a major tournament on the horizon, Ali. Yeah, he is. It was a little bit of a naughty challenge, that, from Lodi. He came in late, he made sure he got a good chunk of Saka, and he let him know he's going to be in for a game this afternoon.
Yeah, that's the one you've got to be careful with the Arsenal commentaries, the old Saka and Xhaka.
Well, they're the only ones scoring at the moment.
That's a very good point. And here's Tomiyasu. Now, you'll quite often see this with Arsenal this season. Tomiyasu's playing left back, but here he is. It's very Guardiola-esque, this. Central midfield on the ball, just inside the Nottingham Forest half. Lovely sunshine splashed across the stadium now. We're high up, sitting on the gantry. Fantastic view down onto the immaculately checkered turf. Mikel Arteta, short black hair, matching dark black top, out on the side of the pitch, watching his team in possession here. Gabriel limped off after the game against PSV, came on as a late sub in that one on Thursday night, but he's out there starting for Arsenal this afternoon. And here's Ødegaard on the ball for Arsenal, very comfortably, very calmly playing the ball around on the halfway line. Next break in play. We'll check in on the Scottish Premiership action this afternoon, the 12 o'clock kickoff between Livingston and Celtic. It sounded like Celtic were heading for a comfortable win. At the moment, Nottingham Forest are chasing the ball here. Partey, low pass to his right. Saka gets a chance to run at Lodi. Plays it back here to Ben White. Little left-footed low pass from Ben White, intercepted by Lodi. Tries to dribble out of trouble. Saka returns the compliment with a foul. Free kick Nottingham Forest, and here's Roddy for Sun. I think full-time Roddy, Livingston Celtic.
Yes, indeed. Livingston Celtic through goals from Kyogo Tilla and Jota. Giakoumakis hit the post with a penalty kick. Celtic now 4 points clear at the top of the league. On to Real Madrid at the San Bernabeu on Wednesday.
Absolutely. Thank you, Roddy. Yes, Champions League action back again in the week. Commentaries on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. Marseille Tottenham Tuesday night. Manchester City Sevilla on Wednesday night. Glenn Murray, 3 minutes in. What are you thinking?
Well, I think this is the game we're going to see today. I think Nottingham Forest are going to be sat in you said they were chasing the ball. I wouldn't so much say they were chasing it, Ali, as blocking and just sitting in a low block and just asking questions of Arsenal. Come and break us down. And we see a number of Arsenal players just sort of on the periphery, on the ball, looking for that forward pass and nothing much on, and just playing around the outside of that Nottingham Forest shape.
Ball forward from Lodi is for Awoniyi to chase. It's beyond him, and Aaron Ramsdale is able to collect it, bring it into his own penalty area. Throws himself into action, hurls the ball out overarm to Tomiyasu, plays it quickly to Partey. Partey strides over the halfway line and then threads a lovely pass between Nottingham Forest defenders, wide on the left to Xhaka. So that's where I thought Martinelli was going to pick the ball up, and all of a sudden that's Xhaka, and Martinelli's moved on the inside.
Yeah, this Arsenal side seems very fluid today, and I think it's going to have to be to try and move this Nottingham Forest structure. The last thing that Arsenal want to do is to be easy to mark, and they need to move Nottingham Forest about on all levels of the pitch, whether that be midfield or the defence, and so far we can see Arsenal doing that very well.
Restarted the game quickly, Arsenal with the throw. They've won the ball back, having initially lost it. Martinelli, good pass out wide to Saka, corner of the Nottingham Forest box, crossing to the near post. That is a fabulous goal. Martinelli on the run across the box, throws himself at the header, and it's taken them less than 5 minutes to get in front. It's Arsenal 1, Nottingham Forest 0.
It's a beautiful goal by Arsenal, very, very early in the game, and Nottingham Forest will be bitterly disappointed with that. He comes to Saka, he chops back onto his left foot, He knocks in a low in-swinging cross, and it's Martinelli who flashes across that front post and headers the ball into the far right-hand side of the goal. And it's a brilliant start for Arsenal here at the Emirates.
The Arsenal shirt, Glenn, that you mentioned with Pablo Marie's name on the back of it was ready for the goal celebration. That's come early in the game, and Martinelli, the goal scorer, has held it up for the fans and the photographers. Our thoughts with Arsenal's on-loan defender over in Italy at the moment, recovering from a horrible incident in a supermarket in Milan. The victim of a stabbing there. He's had an operation and he's on his way to recovery, and I'm sure following his teammates here at Arsenal, if he's listening or watching this game, he will be thrilled to bits at the start Arsenal have made. So as it stands, Arsenal going back to the top of the table. Great cross from Saka, and Martinelli just zipped in and powered the header home.
And I can't help but feel now Steve Cooper's men have got to come out and play at some point. That would have been their game plan, to frustrate Arsenal, but to let a goal in the opening 10 minutes will be a big blow to their game plan. But the biggest disappointment, I think, for Steve Cooper is watching the goal back there. Martinelli is the only attacking player, and there's 5 defenders in the box, but he's on the move, they're static, and he's the one that gets the first contact.
Here he is, the goal scorer, Martinelli, a 5th goal of the season. I can see Tottenham's women have scored early against Brighton in the WSL. 5 games kicking off at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Ball to Partey, cross in, blocked and behind for an Arsenal corner. Arsenal mean business.
Yes, they do. When teams come to play like this, it can be easy to fall into a slower tempo of play, but Arsenal haven't done that. They're moving the ball quickly, which is extremely important when you've got people sat in.
If you just tuned in, 5 Live BBC Sounds, first Premier League commentary of the afternoon. Arsenal leading Nottingham Forest by 1-0. Ødegaard with the corner and away swinger. Header flicked away to the edge of the box. Lingard is there to nod it down. Saka challenges Lingard. Lingard slips. Here's Saka. Little pass to Jesus. Onto the left foot. Kerner just wide. Arsenal very nearly have a second.
Brilliant play by Arsenal. Xhaka turns Jesse Lingard, who just slips on the turf, and he plays Jesus in. He cuts back in his left foot and he looks for that far corner, but just doesn't get enough swerve on the ball, and it floats out for a bye kick.
So goal kick taken. Lodi with his left foot. Now that's a good run made by Awani in between the Arsenal centre-backs. He's there in the box, but then the gap closes and Saliba is able to pass it to Tomiyasu, who plays it up the left-hand touchline to Martinelli. Heavy first touch, takes him back into his own half. Sliding challenge on him by Aurier. The ball runs to Aurier, tries to play it back out to the right-hand side. Nottingham Forest have lost it. Xhaka's given it away. Drive from the edge of the box. Straight to Aaron Ramsdale, and Nottingham Forest respond quickly, having gone a goal behind. Freuler with the left-footed strike.
Yeah, it's good high press there from Nottingham Forest. Very brave at this stage of the game. They got up in numbers. Freuler got the ball, got on his left foot, and he thought, why not have a shot? Unfortunately for him, it was right down Ramsdale's throat, and it was an easy catch for the Arsenal goalkeeper. So
Manchester United West Ham is our commentary at 4:15 this afternoon. Don't miss the first quarter of an hour of that one. Note the earlier kick-off. Saka looking for the run of Jesus, covered by Scott McKenna, who clears it out for an Arsenal throw, which Ben White gets ready to take. He does take, and throws it back here to Saliba. Saliba to White in his blue boots. Back to Saliba inside his own half. All the time in the world here to stroke a pass across to Gabriel. Producer Rob Noffman has just spotted Bukayo Saka just moving a little bit gingerly in space on the right-hand side. Seems to be hobbling on the right ankle ever so slightly.
Yes, he doesn't look comfortable, the young man. I think he's just trying to walk that early kick from Lodi off. It's obviously bothered him, but he's got an assist and we're only 8 minutes in, so I'm sure he'll want to stay on the field of play.
Xhaka's gone tumbling down. The way you said that, Glenn, makes me feel that he might be in your fantasy football team.
No, he isn't, but the goal scorer is, Ali.
Jesus has dropped deeper. He's received the ball from Gabriel, and it's a real whirl of movement from the Arsenal attackers, midfielders and attackers. Here's Xhaka in the inside left position, to Martinelli in the centre forward position, plays it back to Partey. Partey sort of in the number 10 role there, curls a pass out to Saka. Wide on the right is Ødegaard. Ødegaard pulls the ball into the box. It bounces around a couple of times. Jesus lays it back to Partey, who tries to stroke it into the far corner. That's blocked on its way towards goal, and it's eventually cleared and out for an Arsenal throw. And Partey tried to put the finish on that he did for his goal against Tottenham in the North London derby. Yes,
he did. He just tried to place it low and hard to Dean Henderson's left. Fortunately for Nottingham Forest there was a defender in the way, but Arsenal on the ascendancy here at the Emirates so far.
Yeah, Arsenal all over Nottingham Forest. Former Premier League striker Glenn Murray with us for this first Premier League commentary of the afternoon. Nottingham Forest can't get out of their half. They can't get on the ball either. Gabriel to Xhaka. Xhaka with a thumped pass low to Saliba. Now Ben White chipping one down the right. Saka moving freely there, chasing that. Ball bounces twice, flicks it back cleverly with his left foot. Cleared away by Steve Cook. Chested down by Ødegaard. Still inside the Nottingham Forest penalty area. A little bit of skill. Flicks the ball into the legs of Lodi, and Arsenal win another corner.
I think from a Nottingham Forest perspective, just they need to weather this storm and they need to stay in the game. You can't ship 2-3 goals early on in this first half and let the game be dead. It's important that they keep it at 1.
Worry for Nottingham Forest is 6 games away from home this season, just 1 goal scored, yet to win away from home. 2 draws, 4 defeats. 1 goal came from Brennan Johnson against Everton in a 1-1 at Goodison Park. Saka takes the corner short, gets it back from Martinelli, crosses the ball in. That's attacked by Tomiyasu. Volley over the bar, took a deflection, another corner for Arsenal.
Again, Arsenal players on the move in the box, getting that first contact. Nottingham Forest need to wake up here.
Saka is still not moving entirely freely. He was applauded over to the corner flag when he came over to take that last corner, and there was still a very sort of distinct hobble he had on there. He sent Martinelli away this time, so Saka's going to curl this ball in from the right hand side. Martinelli with the goal, Saka with the assist. Arsenal leading Nottingham Forest by 1-0. Saka holds his right arm in the air, jogs on the spot, and then curls that corner in with his left foot. Headed down only as far as Martinelli, and then thumped away and out of play by Cheku Kouyaté for an Arsenal throw on the left. It's incessant pressure.
Yes, it is at the moment. I can't help but feel that if Martinelli's first touch was a little bit better there, he was 6 yards from goal. If he could have killed that ball in an instant, we'd had a shot on target.
Tomiyasu back inside the Arsenal half. Ramsdale's a spectator at the moment. He's standing 7 or 8 yards outside his penalty area, all in yellow, his shirt fluttering in the breeze. He's watching Gabriel just creep forward into the Nottingham Forest half. Low pass to the left. Now that's Jesus over on the left, and Xhaka's in the centre forward role at the moment. Here's Martinelli. Martinelli forced back towards the halfway line. Serge Aurier sticking to his task gamely there. Goes chasing the next pass as well. It comes across to Saliba. Saliba strokes a measured ball to Martinelli outside of his right foot, a la Modric. Floats one over the Nottingham Forest back four. Little back heel from Jesus, looking for Tomiyasu just beyond him, behind for a goal kick. Great movement and passing though from Arsenal.
Yeah, Arsenal are very fluid, interchanging positions. Their movements quick, precise. Their passing has a good tempo. They really look at the races this afternoon. But you mentioned Ramsdale there and his shirt fluttering in the wind. I mean, up here, Ali, it's quite warm and cosy, isn't it? It looks quite cool down there,
breezy, doesn't it? Yeah, it does look breezy, with a nice bit of sort of autumnal sunshine as we approach the end of October. Lodi, right-footed ball hoisted high in the air, header forward towards Gibbs White. Nice back heel flick. Awani now looking for Lingard. Saliba has it covered. He's going to get there first. Gets away from Lingard, able to turn inside his own half. Short pass to Partey. Awani again tries to close it down. Arsenal are able to play it away from him, and it comes to Ben White. Just thinking actually, Glenn, before the game there, Jordan Pickford I watched yesterday at Craven Cottage in sparkling form. England's number one, certainly going to start, you'd have thought, in the World Cup. Nick Pope, I
thought you'd already put him in goal there. Certainly.
I have. Nick Pope number 2. These two, though, possibly we're watching today. Ramsdale, Dean Henderson, competing for a spot, you could say. Yeah,
I think they are, and I think that was a huge reason why Dean Henderson chose to leave Manchester United on loan at the start of the season. He knew there's a World Cup on the horizon, and felt as though he needed to play games to get in Gareth Southgate's squad, and obviously what Ramsdale's done since he's been at Arsenal has been pretty special. I think he's really established him as a number one at a football club.
Saka dribbling, edge of the Forest area, stumbling, still got the pass away. Jesus hits the shot. That's a brilliant block from Steve Cook, otherwise that was going to end up in the back of the net.
Yes, it was, and it just sort of ricocheted into Jesus' path. He got a good purchase on the ball, a good strike, planted his left foot, hit it with his right. Steve Cook was equal to the task, quickly down and stopped what was probably a goal-bound shot.
Yeah, that certainly would have tested Dean Henderson. Jesus jumps, controls a bouncing ball on his chest, tries to flick an overhead pass to Martinelli. Chance for Freuler to clear. Hooks it up in the air. Partey accidentally heads it back towards the halfway line. Awani is a strapping centre forward. chests it down, receives another pass here, trying to turn Gabriel. Little step over from him as well. Freuler. Gabriel stayed there, blocked the pass, continues a run down the left. Arsenal fans shout for a handball from the Jesus pass. Referee Simon Hooper lets it go, and Arsenal eventually win a throw on the left. Saka's now sitting down. That is a worry, Glenn, isn't it, for Arsenal and for England?
Yeah, like you've mentioned, he's not been happy at all ever since that first coming together. I think it was in the couple of opening minutes of the game when Lodi decided to, I suppose the best way to put it is leave one on him early doors, send a message, they say. And he's never quite recovered from it. He's hobbled up and down this right-hand side of the Emirates and just looked pretty uncomfortable. Yes, he's got an assist, and we're only 15 minutes into the game. He will want to add to that. He'll want to add to his goal tally as well, but obviously his health and his well-being, looking forward not only to Arsenal's fixtures but to England's fixtures, will be first and foremost on his mind. Yeah,
what they're showing us on the replay monitor at the moment was Saka's little dribble on the edge of the box where he took a tumble forward and then felt the pain again. Still sat down at the moment. Let's check in on our featured WSL game. 5 games kicking off at 2 o'clock. I can see that Manchester United actually are a goal up away to Everton. Nikita Paris has scored. What about Chelsea Villa? Victoria Polly.
Chelsea 0, Aston Villa 0, 15 minutes gone here as well. Best chance of this game coming in the 6th minute. Chelsea's Guro Brighton having an edge of the area, swerving volley, which was tipped over by the Villa goalkeeper Anna Leeds. Chelsea 0, Aston Villa 0.
Brighton 0, Tottenham 1 in one of the 2 o'clock kickoffs as well. Arsenal and Manchester United, both 4 wins out of 4 at the start of the WSL season. Throw in down the left for Arsenal towards Jesus. Jesus battling hard with Aurier. Aurier's on the floor and just flicks the ball out of play. Another throw into Arsenal on the left. Jesus thought about taking it quickly, then bounces the ball down on the turf and leaves that to Tomiyasu. Right, I can see Mikel Arteta's in conversation with one of the backroom team, probably one of the medical staff, just looking at Bukayo Saka, who's back on his feet. Arsenal have lost it now, and Nottingham Forest bring it away. That's a ball for Awani to chase. Referee blows his whistle. Nottingham Forest are going to get a free kick deep inside their own half. They're not going to take any unnecessary risk. I mean, not from England's point of view, from Arsenal's point of view with Saka, I wouldn't have thought, Glenn.
No, definitely not, especially as they're already leading this game. I think they'll feel as what they can bring in from the bench. They've got options. They'll be strong enough to see this game out from their point of view. But I just wonder there that Simon Hooper brought the ball back, and I thought the Nottingham Forest striker he was away a little bit there. He was in a foot race. I think it was Gabriel. Surprised he brought the game back.
Yeah, could have let it go, definitely. 17.5 minutes gone, first half. Ben White has it for Arsenal, plays it back to Saliba. Here's Partey. Arsenal leading Nottingham Forest by 1-0. Win takes them back to the top of the Premier League table with 2 games in the league to play before the break for the World Cup. The World Cup starts 3 weeks today. Qatar against Ecuador. That will be the opening game. Wall-to-wall coverage across the BBC, particularly here on BBC Radio 5 Live. And obviously you're going to have busy Novembers, Decembers. BBC Sounds app if you're on the move and you want to listen at the same time. Lingard trying to bring the ball down inside his own half. Now a pass down the left for Awani to chase. Awani gets there first, lays it back to Lingard. Attacking opportunity for Forest. Now Kouyaté. Jesus back there makes the tackle, and the ball goes out for a throw into Nottingham Forest.
Yes, Awani, he seems to be the outlet for Nottingham Forest. He's getting down the channels quite well. They just need to find him and get support to him as soon as possible. That time they managed, and they've got a throw in the Arsenal half.
Lodi waits to take into the team for Nico Williams this afternoon, looking for Awani. Saliba heads it away. Ball breaks loose for Arsenal inside their own half. Martinelli speeds forward, lays it off to Xhaka. Tomiyasu's making the run beyond him, wants the pass and now gets the pass. Saka still not moving freely, trying to make ground on the right hand side, jogging into position, but he is in space. Tomiyasu's got it on the left. It's played back to Partey. Partey chips it up over the Nottingham Forest defenders, chested down by Xhaka, laid back to Martinelli, and the shot is cleared off the line. Comes to Saka, hits it with the left foot volley, underneath it, over the bar, and that hurt as well. He's hobbling away having hit the shot. I'm not sure he's going to be out there much longer, Glenn.
No, he hasn't, like we said, he hasn't looked comfortable. He still doesn't look comfortable now. He's got his hands on his knees and he's bent over. And as he struck that volley, I think it was one of those where he knows it's going to be painful, but he's tried his best, put it over the bar, unfortunately, but brilliant play for Arsenal. Partey over the top to Xhaka. Xhaka, I thought he was going to put it in first time across sort of that 6-yard box, but he took a touch and pulled it back to Martinelli, and Martinelli beats the goalkeeper, but it's cleared off the line by Lodi.
Seemed so easy watching it, the way that Arsenal unpicked the Nottingham Forest defence. 20 minutes gone in this first half. Arsenal leading through the early Martinelli goal, which came in the 5th minute, and we're keeping a close eye on Bukayo Saka's movement as well. Free kick Nottingham Forest though, inside the Arsenal half. Chance for them to get the centre backs forward. I can see Scott McKenna is up there. Morgan Gibbs-White will take it. Arsenal outfield players all in a long line, about 25 yards from their goal. Gibbs-White is floating this towards the far post area. Simon Hooper seen holding from Steve Cook, and says that is a free kick for Arsenal.
Yes, that was the Nottingham Forest centre-backs trying to work their magic in a twosome on the edge of the Arsenal box. One holds, one spins, but unfortunately Steve Cook made it too obvious, and Simon Hooper awards justified free kick.
Tottenham's second goal in the WSL. Brighton 0, Tottenham 2. Featured game, Chelsea against Aston Villa is 0-0. Manchester United 1-0 up away to Everton. Arsenal West Ham tonight. Arsenal, another team who've started the season with 4 wins out of 4. That is on Sports Extra at 6:30 over on Sports Extra at the moment. If you're a cricket fan, World T20 action is India against South Africa. Here's Saka playing it back to Partey and now to Ben White. Arsenal in control of this game, leading 1-0, and Partey goes for another of those floated balls towards Xhaka, headed down. Ball falls on the edge of the Nottingham Forest penalty area. Ryan Yates clears it with his right foot, headed forward by Gabriel, breaks to Kouyaté looking for a Partey-like ball over the top of the Arsenal defence. Saliba is there to cut it off, plays it back to Ramsdale, closed down quickly by Awoniyi, and Ramsdale has to clear for a throw into Nottingham Forest. Glenn Murray.
That was good play by Ramsdale. He nearly got sucked in to try and play it short. He had a couple of options, but he thought, you know what, rather than get myself in a sticky situation, I'm going to get rid of this ball, and I can't help but feel he made the right decision.
Throw in then, which Renan Lodi will take midway inside the Arsenal half. Gets it back from Kouyaté. Rather hurried pass across the Arsenal half, intercepted. Xhaka bringing it forward for Arsenal. Delays his pass, and right decision as well. Finds Saka.
The ball's come to Saka on a couple of times there, and he's just slowed the pace of the play down. They've been in the ascendancy, they've been going forward, and he's just sort of chopped back and just give it back to Ben White or Partey, whoever been backing him up. He doesn't look happy to go at Lodi at the minute. He's very ginger.
Yeah, he is, absolutely. He's not 100% at the moment. Mikel Arteta still pondering that. In the T20 game I just mentioned over on Sports Extra, South Africa need 12 to win off the last 15 balls, so you're definitely making them favourites there against India with 6 wickets left. We'll keep you posted. If you want the closing stages, it's over on Sports Extra. Saka looking for Jesus. Cook slides in, hefty challenge, but took the ball. Jesus goes tumbling. Arsenal have it. Ben White just plays it back to Saliba. Now to Partey, directing operations from central midfield. Wide to Saka, chance to take on Lodi, decides not to, plays it to White, now to Ødegaard chased by Kouyaté, nearly caught, but Arsenal keep it. And here is Saliba. Goal in the WSL, Chelsea against Aston Villa. Victoria Polly.
Chelsea 1, Aston Villa 0. It's coming the 22nd minute. Lauren James, who started the move, driving forward, ball out to the left-hand side. Guro right and putting it back in for James to convert with a low shot. It's Chelsea 1, Aston Villa 0.
Sister of Reece James, of course. Chelsea 4 wins out of 5 at the start of the WSL season, chasing Arsenal and Manchester United at the top. All those teams starting the day on 12 points, but Chelsea having played a game more. Steve Cook on the ball for Nottingham Forest, trailing Arsenal 1-0. McKenna fires it forward with his left foot. It's asking a lot of Jesse Lingard. Lingard will chase, but got no chance of getting it. Going to be a frustrating afternoon, I think, for that Nottingham Forest front three, feeding on scraps.
Yeah, I was going to say that there, Ali. They are going to be feeding on scraps. They're going to not see the ball much. They've got to do a job defensively for their team. and as a striker who's done that role many times, it can be demoralising. But you just need to keep reminding yourself that it only takes a second to score a goal. You just need a glimpse of goal and to be able to get your shot on target, and you never know. And you need to keep reminding yourself of that on afternoons like this afternoon.
How easy is that to do, Glenn? How do you keep your spirits up when you're having an afternoon like that?
Oh, well, I mean, that is the ultimate task, I think, is to try and keep that concentration when you're not being used, when you're having to defend, and still try and make that front post run, still try and make that run where you're 9 times out of 10 unlikely to receive the ball.
Ødegaard does receive the ball, looks for a little pass to Xhaka, who's making a run forward from midfield, gets into so many good attacking positions this season. Xhaka can't keep it in, and behind it goes for a goal kick. Sorry, Glenn.
Yeah, no, and that is it, just to try and keep your spirits up and realise that if you can get the opportunity, you can affect the game. As I see, Saka's got the trainer on again, and I have noticed that I think it's Reiss Nelson and Fabio Vieira that have been constantly out there warming up ever since there's been a problem, and it looks like there could be a change on the way. And
this is part of it, isn't it, Glenn? I think for Arsenal, so win this game today, back on top of the table. I don't know whether Arsenal fans necessarily expect their team to challenge for the title all the way to the end of the season, desperate for them to finish in the top 4 and get back into the Champions League, but they will be tested, the squad will be tested, and were they to lose someone like Saka for a period of time, then it is up to the likes of the players you mentioned to come in and try and continue the good work. But he will be a loss of a really key player for them.
Yeah, he's a huge talent, and he's getting better week on week, and that is the one thing when I look at this Arsenal team. We've mentioned it on a number of occasions how young it is, but also its lack of proven depth, should I say, because there is quality on the bench, but we've maybe not seen it constantly at this level. And I do wonder sometimes, I look at the World Cup and I think Arsenal could do with the break for a rest perspective, but they can also not do with the rest because of a momentum perspective. So it's a difficult one for Arsenal at the moment.
That's it for Bukayo Saka, unfortunately. Bright start to this game. It was his cross that led to the Arsenal goal. Bullet header from Martinelli. Granit Xhaka has a few comforting words for him. He does look very disconsolate, and he's straight off down the tunnel as well, Bukayo Saka, for further treatment on the left foot or ankle. We'll find out more about the injury after the game. So opportunity beckons here for Reiss Nelson, who's not been a regular feature in the Arsenal team for a while, on loan to Feyenoord last season. Bits and pieces, substitute appearances so far this season, but will replace Saka wide on the right-hand side. Remains Arsenal 1, Nottingham Forest 0. Manchester United against West Ham United, our commentary at 4:15 this afternoon on 5 Live Sport, also available on the BBC Sounds app.
And like you mentioned there, Ali, Reiss Nelson getting to come on with only 30 minutes of this game gone, and I know he's a huge potential. He's a very bright young star, and he's thought of massively in these parts, so this is a huge chance for him.
Martinelli's ball looking for Nelson. Lodi is there, flicks the header away, and behind it goes for a corner to Arsenal. And I think encouragingly for young Reiss Nelson, he was immediately involved in the attacking build-up and played a nice crisp pass to Ødegaard to keep that move going. Now he's saying to Ødegaard, I'm here for the short corner if you want. Ødegaard sends him away, and then just pauses, looks down at the ball, perched right on the edge, very outside of the white line of the quadrant. Ødegaard with the corner, bouncing ball into the near post, comes back to Ødegaard on the right, cross into the far post this time, headed away by McKenna, and then Nelson is pushed over, and that is a free kick for Arsenal, 30 yards from goal, and Granit Xhaka's moving straight to the ball and might fancy a dip at this. 28 minutes gone in the first half. Arsenal leading Nottingham Forest by a goal to 0. We'll see what they do with this free kick, and then we'll take you to the World T20. South Africa against India. Last we heard, South Africa needing 12 to win off the last 15 balls. Ødegaard's there, Jesus is there, Thomas Partey has been sent away. Glenn Murray?
Yes, I'm just looking at the area of this free kick, and I can't help but feel it just might be a little bit far for a direct free kick. I think they're going to try and work something out here. Ødegaard standing over the ball, pointing, dictating where he wants people to be. So let's see what they can come up with. It looks like something off the training ground.
Yeah, a couple of Arsenal men to the left of the Nottingham Forest wall. Dean Henderson in light grey is a couple of yards off his line. Ødegaard is still pointing and gesticulating and talking, and now replacing the ball, and you wonder if this is all part of the game from Arsenal. This Simon Hooper now doesn't like it. So the Arsenal wall that was beside the Nottingham Forest wall for an attacking free kick for Arsenal has moved in front of the Forest wall. They've got to be a good couple of yards in front. Simon Hooper's now happy with that. He marches back, blows the whistle, and let's see if it was all worth the wait. Ødegaard hits the shot, not really, deflection. Ball goes up in the air. Jesus thought about a first-time volley, can't control it. Lodi tries to bring it away. Jesus blocks, behind for the goal kick, and Adam Mountford could let us know what's going on in the World T20.
South Africa will need 6 runs from the final 6 balls to win this gripping match in the Super 12s. Crucially, David Miller is still there, a great finisher in cricket. He's on 51, 5 wickets in hand, 6 runs from 6 balls.
Thank you, Adam. Commentary on an exciting finish over on Radio 5 Sports Extra. Manchester City's women lead Liverpool by a goal to nil in the WSL. Tottenham 2-0 up at Brighton. Chelsea leading Aston Villa 1-0. Manchester United 1 up away at Everton. Reading and Leicester remains goalless. 15 minutes to play in the first half here. Sunshine has disappeared temporarily. Throw in for Arsenal, about 15 yards short of the halfway line. Tomiyasu looking for an option. Low skiddy one down the line to Jesus. Jesus, good strength, holds off Steve Cook, but actually concedes a throw to Nottingham Forest.
And surprisingly, the noise you can hear is coming from the Nottingham Forest faithful, isn't it? I must give them a shout out, because I feel as though everywhere they've been this season, no matter what the score's been, they have been so loud and so proud of their team. And it must really help, especially when things aren't going exactly to plan, let's say.
Yeah, they had a fantastic weekend last weekend with the 1-0 win over Liverpool. Still very much in touch with the teams just above them. Forest starting today on 9 points, Wolves on 10, Leicester 11, Southampton and Aston Villa both on 12. Partey's miscued a pass. Lingard chests it down, moving forward at speed for Forest. Oh dear, with the shot, slices it so badly wide. That's why the Arsenal fans are jeering. Probably worth the hit.
Yes, I can't help but feel he had a few options. It was the one time that Nottingham Forest had committed players forward. I think it was a 4-on-4 at the back, and Jesse Lingard decides to drive at the Arsenal defence, put her on his right foot and have a shot, and what a terrible shot it was.
Jesus flicks it on. Ball falls to Martinelli. Martinelli's caught and hurt in the challenge. Goes down holding his left ankle. Saka already off injured. Martinelli quickly back to his feet though. He's going to be okay. Henderson clears the Nottingham Forest keeper. Saliba with a dominant header climbing above the Nigerian Awoniyi, but the ball is with Forest. Yates stretches, plays a first-time pass back to McKenna. McKenna across to Steve Cook. Back it comes to Dean Henderson. Henderson beaten by the early Martinelli header. 5th minute of the game to make it Arsenal 1, Nottingham Forest 0. So Lodi on the ball, just outside his own penalty area. McKenna gives him the shout, goes running across to his right, plays it to Steve Cook. Cook doesn't deliver it immediately downfield, now up towards the halfway line. Gibbs White tried to chest it down, couldn't do much with it. Ødegaard flicks a header in towards Jesus, diving header away from Cook, but it falls to Partey now in the centre circle for Arsenal. He's allowed to bring it forward 10 yards, then his path is blocked by Freuler. Partey has it back again from Gabriel. Move has slowed slightly. Tomiyasu to Jesus, who's dropped a little deeper to get involved in the build-up. Gabriel plays it to Jesus, just inside the Nottingham Forest half. Makes a few yards forward, then turns back again. Gabriel starts it in and gives it to Partey. Jesus made the run down the inside left channel looking for the lofted ball. It wasn't played. Partey again. 15 yards inside the Nottingham Forest half. Very patient.
Yes, it is, and Partey's looking forward there on a couple of occasions, but he knows he's always got a pass behind him, so he never gets under too much pressure.
Quicker build up there from Arsenal. Martinelli and Jesus looking for the 1-2. Aurier clears, and out it goes for a throw in to the home team, who lead Nottingham Forest by a goal to 0, looking for a 10th win in 12 Premier League games so far this season. Tomiyasu like a statue standing there with the ball above his head, and then Jesus uses the strength of his pecs to flick the ball back to Tomiyasu too powerfully, and out it goes for a throw. That's what he did, didn't he?
You can put it like that. I would have called it a chest.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Forest have it on the right. Gibbs White immediately runs into trouble. It's just not sticking for Nottingham Forest at the moment. Nelson Plays it back to Ben White, and Arsenal will start to build again. Here's Partey. Partey again, that chip ball over the top. Oh, Jesus, little glancing header behind him. Martinelli is going to collect this down by the byline on the left. Aurier approaches. Martinelli takes him on, tries to beat him for speed down the line. Aurier sticks with him. Eventually the ball goes behind for a corner, which Martin Ødegaard gets ready to take. 10 minutes remaining in the first half. Ødegaard in front of the Nottingham Forest fans, away to our right. Arsenal, Arsenal, Arsenal ringing around the stadium, looking for a second goal. Here's Ødegaard, left-footed curling cross. Ball is headed away by Aurier. Ben White was trying to line himself up for a shot, eventually makes a pass, plays it to Partey. Partey's cross in. McKenna flicks a header away. It'll fall to Ødegaard. Good first touch. Brings it down out of the sky, plays it to Martinelli. Pass to Nelson. Nelson can't control it. Nottingham Forest now have a chance to come on the counter-attack. Awani followed by Ben White. White with the challenge. Good challenge as well. Result in the World T20. South Africa, India, Adam Mountford.
South Africa win by 5 wickets with 2 balls to spare. Markram rode his luck to make crucial 52. Miller finished things off with an unbeaten 56. South Africa go top, boost their semi-final chances. India still work to do.
Thank you, Adam. 10 minutes remaining in the first half here at the Emirates Stadium. 5 Live's Premier League Sunday. Manchester United against West Ham to follow in full at 4:15. Xhaka to Ødegaard. Ødegaard into the Nottingham Forest penalty area. Nelson makes the run outside. Back to Jesus. Gets underneath the shot. Balloons it over the bar. Brighton's women 0. Tottenham's women 3 in the first half in the WSL.
I must say, Ali, whenever I come to the Emirates, I love watching Martin Ødegaard. I think he's a fantastic footballer. He's just so at ease with the ball at his feet. You can see the sort of the pattern of everything moving in front of him, and he lays a lovely ball there for Jesus to hit first time. And fortunate for Arsenal, Jesus is just leaning back a little bit and up and over the top it goes.
Okay, I'm going to set you a little bit of homework then, Glenn, for the rest of the afternoon. So a player possibly or two that Ødegaard reminds you of.
Well,
have you got an answer for me straight away, have you?
Yeah, I mean, he's not at this level yet, but I think that in the future he could be. I mean, he was thrust onto the sort of world stage when he signed for Real Madrid back in the day. So he's played with some top people and obviously learned off a lot of them. But I feel as though now we're really starting to see the best of him. But one person he does remind me of slightly is Kevin De Bruyne.
Ooh. Reiss Nelson with the challenge on Lodi. Lodi's gone down holding his face. Free kick is given. I don't think there'll be any more to it than that. Arsenal 1, Nottingham Forest 0. So Nottingham Forest free kick. Lingard dinks it forward, looking to try and take advantage with a quick one, but Saliba read it, heads it away.
So far, Jesse Lingard's been quite wasteful, I would say, in possession. We mentioned a shot earlier, that pass there was a little dink into nobody really. I can't see what he saw while he was standing on the ball, and they need more from him. I think Nottingham Forest definitely need more from Jesse Lingard, especially going forward. He's putting a shift in, he's doing the work up and down, he's covering a lot of distance, but they need a little bit more creativity for him.
Thomas Partey's giving the ball away. Chance again for Nottingham Forest on the counter. Gibbs White bringing it forward, tries to find Awani, intercepted by Gabriel. Freuler is there, back to Gibbs White, straight back to Freuler again. Forest work it to the left. Here's Lodi, back to the halfway line. Arsenal have closed it down, and here's McKenna, Scottish centre-back for Nottingham Forest. Very deliberate pass forward to Lingard. He followed it all the way with his eyes, that one. Lingard's laid it off to Lodi. Lingard stays in space on the left. Ryan Yates wants support on the right. Steve Cook was behind him, plays it back to Cook, and now Cook makes the run forward, looks up and is thinking about trying to pick out a cross. Instead, outside of the football, trying to get it down the right-hand side. Then a flicked header. Eventually does find Gibbs White. Back to Aurier, wide on the right-hand side. Good work from Forest this. Yates, challenged by Gabriel Jesus in the left-back position for Arsenal. Jesus then tackled by Yates, and actually Nottingham Forest have won the corner in the end.
Yes, they have, and we obviously talked at the top of the show about Gabriel Jesus' goal return, but this is a huge reason why he's not seen or classed as an out-and-out striker, because he was the deepest person. I actually think he was deeper than Ramsdale at one point there. That's how hard he works for the team, and he gives Nottingham Forest the corner.
Yeah, the risk he did take there. He tried a little nutmeg on Yates to try and bring the ball away. The ball hit Yates, came back off Jesus and went behind for this corner. Arsenal fans chanting again, but this time ahead of a defensive corner. leading 1-0. In it comes, little flick on, ball bounces around on the edge of the 6-yard box. There's Ødegaard, whacks it away with his left foot, falls to Aurier. Aurier plays it wide to Gibbs White. Gibbs White tackled by Jesus. Jesus now trying to get Arsenal moving on the counter. Xhaka prods it forward to Martinelli. Martinelli's got Ødegaard to his right, but off he goes. Head down up to the edge of the Nottingham Forest penalty area. Forest desperately trying to get back in numbers. Martinelli across the Forest half, plays it to Ødegaard. Ødegaard's low ball to the right, finds Nelson. Nelson to Ødegaard, clever, let it run to Partey. Partey wide to White on the right, back to Partey, and again Arsenal will pick and probe, with Forest having all their players back behind the ball. Ben White on the right, plays it to Partey, starts a run, but Arsenal come back into the middle. Gabriel, 40 yards from goal in a central position, across to Partey. Partey down the inside right channel to Nelson, back to Partey, just deliberates for a second, wide he goes to Ben White. Partey takes a touch, runs it forward, played back to Saliba, and across to Gabriel. Gabriel very congested around the Nottingham Forest penalty area. Can Arsenal find a way through? Partey forward to Jesus, back to Xhaka. Jesus able to turn 25 yards out, right-footed ball wide to Nelson, edge of the area, back to White. Here's Reece Nelson again to Ødegaard, to White, back to Ødegaard. Clever, intricate stuff from Arsenal. Ødegaard, corner of the area, curling ball to the far post, headed away by Aurier. Now Gibbs White battles with Tomiyasu. Gibbs White challenged by Tomiyasu, and then challenges Tomiyasu. Well, the Arsenal fans thought unfairly. Players allowed to continue. Gibbs White rolls the pass down the right. Awani goes down very easily under the challenge from Saliba. Nottingham Forest are not getting a free kick for that. And here come Arsenal again. Nelson with the ball at his feet, being roared on by thousands of Arsenal fans inside the Emirates Stadium. Nelson to Ødegaard. Ødegaard gliding across the turf, plays it across to Martinelli. Xhaka makes a little run on the inside. Back it comes to Partey. Thought he was going to hit one, tries to slide the pass through, and behind it goes for the goal kick. More thoughts from Glenn Murray in a second. Goals in the WSL, been another one actually in the game between Chelsea and Aston Villa. Victoria Polly.
Chelsea 1, Aston Villa 1, and the first bit of sustained pressure in this first half for Villa, and they've turned it into an equaliser. England's Rachel Daly getting it on the end of a right-hand cross, low into the box from close range. She turned it in to make it Chelsea 1, Aston Villa 1, 5 minutes to go.
Thank you, Victoria. Also in the WSL, Manchester City 1, Liverpool 1. Liverpool equaliser there, and Leicester 1 up away to Reading. So 3 minutes to go in the first half. Some of the Arsenal football at times there, Glenn Murray, an absolute joy to watch. It's got you scribbling on your iPad there, isn't it?
Yeah, it has. Yeah, it was really intricate stuff, and I think that the onus has really fallen on Thomas Partey to try and break this Nottingham Forest team down today, and that's not a role that we usually associate the big man with.
Aurier to Kouyaté in towards Awani. That's great defending from Saliba. Followed him all the way. Lingard hits the shot. Gabriel blocks it, and Partey is there and should be able to clear this for Arsenal. Arsenal just passed the ball into no man's land in their penalty area, and Lingard had a clear sight of goal, and had it not been for the block by Gabriel, could well have been the equaliser. That is clumsy from Reece Nelson. That is a free kick 25 yards from goal in the inside left channel for Nottingham Forest.
And I just watch Ødegaard just pushing his palms to the ground, chastising to his teammates, relax, just take our time, compose ourselves, because they nearly undone themselves there. And when he made a good run to the front post, and then I think it was Gabriel just rolls it towards the penalty spot, right into Jesse Lingard's path, and Jesse Lingard swivels and hits it, and it's his centre-back partner who manages to block it.
Fabulous block. Free kick coming for Nottingham Forest. Standing over the ball, Lodi and Morgan Gibbs White, closing stages of the first half. And it's Gibbs White with his right foot. Now that's good delivery. Flicked down Awani, very nearly on the end of it. Ramsdale grabs it at his feet and falls on it gratefully for Arsenal.
And the linesman's flag was up. It was up as if it was offside on the far side, but Decore had a chance to head it a goal there.
Arsenal on the counter. Challenge on Xhaka. He's down hurt. Referee wants to play an advantage now. He's going to stop the game. Yellow card for Morgan Gibbs White. Heavy challenge on Granit Xhaka. Free kick for Arsenal. No advantage there. And Xhaka seems in some pain.
Just going back to that chance, it was very similar to Liverpool's chance last week when Virgil van Dijk had the opportunity to head it towards goal. He tried to find Robert Firmino. It was very like that, wasn't it, there from the big man?
Yeah,
Kouyaté. He tries to find Awoniyi and heads it back across goal. And I can't help but feel those opportunities, like a team for Nottingham Forest coming to the Emirates this afternoon, you don't get those chances very often, and when you do, you need to take it.
Gibbs White not happy with the booking. We've seen a replay of the challenge. He came in at speed. I would say he was in control, and he very clearly got the ball first. His momentum then took him into Xhaka, and I can see why Xhaka is hurt. I mean, it's exactly the kind of challenge that Granit Xhaka himself, makes all the time.
Yes, but
yellow card right, Glenn?
Yeah, I think it's just an opinion really, and Simon Hooper's obviously felt as though it was, but we can see. I mean, I don't think it helps that Xhaka stay down injured. I think that does make a difference to the referee's mind, and it looks like he really is in some pain here. I'm not sure if it's his right ankle that might have got trapped underneath there, but he's not up on his feet yet, and it's been a little while. Yeah, they've lost Saka to injury today. Xhaka's now down hurt. 4 more games after this one before the World Cup break. Need to make sure against FC Zurich here on Thursday night to win their Europa League group and immediately go through to the last 16. Intriguing one away to Chelsea, which kicks off at 12 o'clock next Sunday. Brighton then come here in the League Cup, and they've got Wolves away before everyone heads off for the World Cup. Xhaka's on his feet, puffing and panting. Ødegaard curls the free kick in towards Jesus. Gibbs White is there. Gibbs White says Jesus handballed it. Last touch certainly came off the Arsenal man, and that's going to be a throw-in for Nottingham Forest in their right-back position. So the goal came in the 5th minute of the first half, and at that point you wondered whether Nottingham Forest were going to be in for a rough afternoon, but certainly in recent weeks they've solidified things at the back. They've hung in there and had, as Glenn was saying moments ago, possibly a couple of looks at goal actually that they could have made a little bit more of. Lingard's wild shot wide, and then the header that wasn't directed at the goal. And Lingard's shot that got blocked as well. That was a massive opportunity. Not that they had anything to do with the creation of it, but it fell to them. And like I say, when you come to places like the Emirates, you need to make those moments count. And so far this afternoon, Nottingham Forest haven't done enough. Now they've conceded a free kick. Aurier's fouled Jesus. Last 20 seconds of the first half, so Arsenal will have one final chance to try and put some quality delivery into the Nottingham Forest penalty area and get themselves further ahead. They lead Forest by 1-0. The challenge actually came in from Remo Freuler. It was Aurier who was standing over Jesus at the end of it, but Freuler, with the rather unnecessary foul on Jesus, has conceded the free kick. And Ødegaard, in his bright yellow boots, gets ready to take the free kick wide from the left. Just beyond 2 minutes of added time at the end of the first half. Delivery into the near post. Partey stoops, heads it into Steve Cook, cleared away by Lingard. Arsenal fans behind the goal appealing for a potential handball, although proximity there, he was so close to it. Steve Cook, I'm not sure there's too much he could have done. Arsenal waiting to take the throw. There's not much time here. Tomiyasu ready to go, and there we go. Before he could even throw the ball into play, the half-time whistle blows, and Arsenal have the lead at the break by 1-0. Martinelli with the header. Saka created it with the cross. He's gone off injured. What do you made of the first 45 minutes, Glenn Murray? I think this first 45 minutes has played out as we expected. Obviously Nottingham Forest didn't want to concede so early, but they've stuck to their game plan. They've stayed in the game. They've dropped deep. They've been hard to beat. And off the back of that, they've tried to get forward when the opportunities arisen, and they've craved out some half chances. But I think from an Arsenal's perspective, they've controlled this game. They've been quite clean and tied in possession. They've been intricate and they've been fluid in their movement of their forward plays especially. They just haven't been able to find that crucial second goal here. There was a brilliant block on the Jesse Lingard shot late in the first half, where Arsenal gifted Nottingham Forest an opportunity to get back in the game, but still 6.5 away games this season for Nottingham Forest. They've only managed the 1 goal, and they need one here to try and get something out of this game the way it stands at half-time. Arsenal leading Nottingham Forest by 1-0.
Glenn, I know none of the three of us, to my knowledge, is a medical expert, but obviously when Bukayo Saka goes down like that, this close to a World Cup, even if it looks innocuous, you're going to be worried. Did it look like an an ankle twist to you, maybe?
Well, selfish. I mean, my first thought wasn't for Arsenal; it was for England.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
It seemed like more of an impact injury. I don't think it was a roll of the ankle. I may be wrong, but it seemed like an impact injury. And ever since he got an early challenge from Lodi down on this right hand wing, he just didn't seem comfortable. He was ginger throughout. Yes, he created he created the goal, but he had a couple of opportunities to get at the Nottingham Forest left back, and he just sort of decided not to. And I could tell that his afternoon wasn't going to be long lived, and lo and behold, he did get a change, and Reece Nelson's came on to replace him.
Yeah, and I suppose we're going to get maybe half an answer to the question about Arsenal's depth now, because that's something we've speculated about, is if you take away one or two of that fluid front three, are they still as dynamic as they would be normally?
Well, the answer is no, and we know that. I mean, also we've got to take into consideration Emil Smith-Rowe. He's a massive miss, and he's injured at the moment. I think even you could even throw Zinchenko into that conversation. He can put into a 10, and he's a pretty all-round good footballer that can play anywhere on the football field, as we've seen on a number of occasions in his Manchester City career. So they are without a number of options, especially high up the field. And obviously Reece Nelson's come on, but he's not quite got the same impact that Saka had for his 15 minutes.
Is there anything Forest can or should be doing better, or are they just at the moment coming up against a very good team?
No, I think obviously when you look at it from a Steve Cooper's perspective, he'll want his team to make better decisions, to keep the ball a little bit longer, just take that pressure off themselves. Defending wise, I think they've done well, and then I mentioned that they've had a couple of opportunities and a little bit wasteful. You don't get many opportunities when you come away to top six clubs like this, or should I say the top club. You don't get many opportunities, so when you do get those, you need to be as clinical as possible, and the best two chances have fallen to Jesse Lingard, and he's been wasteful on them both.
Glenn, Ali, thank you very much for the time being. Arsenal 1, Nottingham Forest 0, and Arsenal, as it stands, heading back to the top of the Premier League table in the Women's Super League. Chelsea are in danger of being displaced at the top. It's half-time at Kingsmeadow. Victoria Polly.
Chelsea 1, Aston Villa 1. Chelsea have been the better of the two sides. They could have had the opener within 6 minutes. Guro Wrighton superbly denied by Anna Leet in the Villa goal, and it was Wrighton who combined with Lauren James for Chelsea's opener in the 22nd minute. James' low left-footed shot into the bottom corner, and they've had more opportunities through Lauren James, Sam Kerr, Pernille Harder as well, but somehow 8 minutes from time, Villa enjoying a sustained spell of pressure for the first time in this game. The ball came in from the right-hand side, and it was turned in from close range by England's Rachel Daly for her 4th WSL goal of the season. So Chelsea with work to do, but I'd say there's more goals in this one. Chelsea 1, Aston Villa 1.
So as it stands, Manchester United will be going top of the table. They lead Everton by a goal to nil. Nikita Paris scored that one. It's Manchester City 1, Liverpool 1 at half-time. Brighton 0, Tottenham Hotspur 4, and Reading, who are still without a point in their opening 4 games of the season, trail Leicester by a goal to nil at the break. We'll be back with more very shortly. We'll take you for the first time this afternoon to Old Trafford ahead of Manchester United versus West Ham, which is our full commentary at 4:15. We'll do that after the news with Stuart Clarkson.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Steve, thank you. Kent police say 2 or 3 incendiary devices were thrown into a border force centre in Dover this morning. Officers say one person suffered minor injuries. The Reuters news agency says one of its staff witnessed the incident, as our correspondent Sean Dilley explains.
A Reuters photographer has described pretty dramatic scenes of a male turning up in a sports utility vehicle. The photographer from Reuters said that he threw 3 petrol bombs at the immigration processing centre with fireworks attached to them, but one, he reports, did not go off. He then says that the male got back into the sports utility vehicle and drove a short distance, where he says he is believed to have ended his life. Kent Fire and Rescue Service have confirmed of the Kent incident that they did receive a call at 11:24 this morning.
South Korea is in mourning after more than 150 young people were killed while out celebrating Halloween. President Yoon has promised a thorough investigation into the crush in a narrow alleyway in the capital, Seoul. At least 153 people have died, most of them teenagers and young adults in their 20s. 82 people were also injured. The Speaker of the US House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, has said she's heartbroken and traumatised after a man broke into her home in San Francisco and beat her husband with a hammer. In her first statement since Friday's attack, she said his condition was improving, and she's thanked thanked police for their quick response. And the Cabinet Minister Michael Gove has defended a decision to reappoint Suella Braverman as Home Secretary, despite her resignation the previous week over a security breach. The BBC's seen an email which casts doubt over Ms Braverman's version of events, that she rapidly alerted officials after sending a sensitive document from her personal account.
The way Carly acted told me she'd had it tough.
I can't do this.
If hunger didn't keep her up, the cold did.
I've got to try.
She was always angry, and that's all she knew. Until I found her an outlet. Now look at her.
Yes!
Right now, it's tougher than ever for too many kids. But Children in Need help project workers like me turn young lives around. BBC Children in Need. We're there for you.
More live Premier League football than anyone else.
5 Lives Premier League Sunday
with Steve Crossman.
Arsenal 1, Forest 0. Second half commentary on the way from the Emirates. Let's go back down under first of all. The T20 World Cup. South Africa chased down 134 to beat India by 5 wickets. We can go live to Perth and speak to Adam Mountford. Another gripping match, Adam, and South Africa go top of the group.
Yeah, that's right, Steve. A low-scoring thriller and a match that again shows how even the short form of this game can really ebb and flow. South Africa making that great start. 4 wickets from Ngidi, helping reduce India to 49 for 5 in the 9th. Kohli out for the first time in the tournament, making only 12. Then a sublime 68 from Sirikumar Yadav dragged India to 133 for 9. And that looked competitive when South Africa crawled to 40 for 3 at the halfway stage until Markram and Miller went through the gears. Markram benefiting from a horrendous drop from Kohli, really worth seeing on the BBC Sport website and apt to be believed. He went on to make 52, and then needing 6 from the last over, Miller saw them home with an unbeaten 59. So is there confidence in the camp that South Africa can go on to win the competition? Well, after the match, Miller spoke with Ben Cameron.
I don't think there's any guarantee in this game, but what we have done well is, like tonight, we've managed to fight really well through the last year and a half. We managed to find ways to win. So for me, looking at our past, we've managed to find ways to win. So hopefully we can just continue with that and manage to win games where sometimes you don't really expect to, but manage to get over the line. So that's really important as a team, and we've been playing really well as a team. Good unity.
Yeah, South Africa then go top with 5 points. India stays second, but that result bunches things up in the group with Bangladesh also on 4 and Zimbabwe, who they beat in another thriller earlier, on 3. So looking at the scenarios, South Africa are hot favourites to go through because they've got games left against the bottom 2 sides in the group. That's Pakistan, who also won today but are unlikely to have a chance of going through, and against the Netherlands. For India, well, they're left with a couple of quite nervy games actually against Bangladesh and Zimbabwe, but qualification is still in their hands.
Adam, thank you very much indeed. That's Adam Mountford. We've got the second half on the way from the Emirates, and then we'll be at Old Trafford for full commentary of Manchester United versus West Ham in the Premier League. Starts at 4:15. These are the sounds of Old Trafford. That's why we find correspondent John Murray and Chris Waddle. Good afternoon, chaps.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Chris, it's been a little while, so let's start very broad. What do you make of United right now?
I think they're getting there. I've got to say, I'll whisper it, they're not as good as Man City yet. But they're getting there. I can see signs of Ten Hag, where he wants to play and the way he reads the game. I can see it's starting to show. And I think with another couple of players probably in the summer, I think Man United will definitely be contending again next season.
Yes, although they did, of course, get the seal of approval from the other side of the city, from Pep Guardiola on Friday, Steve, which I thought was quite cute, wasn't it? I thought that served a lot of purposes. Clearly, they go back quite a long way, don't they, Guardiola and Ten Hag to Bayern Munich? So they're obviously friendly. So there's a little tick for him there, a little sort of reach out of friendship. But also the fact to say that when, in fact, the last time they lost, which was a month ago, they were torn apart by Manchester City. So it's kind of, yeah, you're doing okay, but you're nowhere near where we are.
But I'd sort of think, John, that sometimes teams can have a defeat and it looks like they've learned nothing from it. I mean, Manchester United, it seems that the defeat to Brentford, they learned a lot, and the defeat to City, they've learned a lot, and maybe they're putting it into practice?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've got to be honest, after those first 2 matches, when they, and he as well, seemed all over the place, he was trying all sorts. And, he was almost... he was almost doing a Liz Truss before we knew what Liz Truss was going to do. You know, you thought, how long is this going to last? But there are definitely signs of progress. As he says in the match programme today, he says every game since the Manchester derby, every game this month, there have been promising signs in all of those performances of where he wants to go with Manchester United.
To carry on the political phrases, Chris, with what he's done with Cristiano Ronaldo, has he got the big call right?
Yeah, I think you know it must be hard managing a superstar, and let's be honest, he is. And you know, as you get older, you want to play, and you still think you want to play every minute of every game. And we know how Cristiano Ronaldo is obsessed with stats, and he wants to break every record you can think in football, really, which is a nice thing to have. But you know, he looks at the team, and I think if you look over the successful years here with Sir Alex Ferguson, he looked at the team. It didn't matter who you were or what you were. If he thought it was the right thing to leave a player or sell a player, even though the fans may think what you're selling him for, he always looked at the team. And I think Ten Hag is very similar to that. And if he thinks Cristiano Ronaldo is doing the job, I'm sure he'll play him. But if he thinks he hasn't got the legs to start the pressure or the style of play I want, unfortunately he's going to have to sit on the bench.
I, John, would not describe myself as someone who's particularly obsessed with stats, but I like them when they're good. And this one I think is interesting. 2 points from their last 19 games for West Ham against what we would call the Big Six. And David Moyes talked about this week. He said, yes, but what would a win at a Big Six club do? It might feel good in the moment, but it's not as important as having a consistent team.
At the same time, though, they've picked up lots and lots of good results and wins against those teams at home. Some really strong performances. But, I mean, we mentioned this after the West Ham game at Liverpool a couple of weeks ago. I mean, just think it's a remarkable fact that David Moyes, as a manager, has never won away in the Premier League against Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea or Manchester United. So that's 69 matches now. And I just think by the law of averages, you're going to win one sooner or later. And I mean, he did win here in the League Cup, in the Carabao Cup last season. So he has done it, but just not in the Premier League.
Surely it would do. I mean, this is the thing. I can understand, Chris, him asking the question of what it would do, because unfortunately for him, he doesn't know. He's not experienced it. But that kind of victory against one of the elite surely would do a lot for any team.
Yeah, it gives you great confidence when you beat the big boys. You know, every time you play one of the big boys, all the players should be up for it, and you know, you go there hoping that you put your best performance on it and you can get a result. And you know, West Ham have got good support, good travelling support. I'm sure they'll be here in their numbers today. They'd love to see it, which is going to be an interesting game. But you know, it's quite early in this season. They've played a lot of football, all these teams, West Ham and Man United, with this Europa League, and it really does take a lot on you. And I'm going to say the teams with a bigger squads will be the successful teams this season. But West Ham did invest quite heavily in the summer. If you look, they did bring in a lot of players.
Chris, John, thank you for the time being. Looking forward to it. Full commentary at 4:15 of Manchester United against West Ham. England have reached the semi-finals of the Women's Rugby World Cup with a 41-5 win over Australia in Auckland. Wasps joint administrators say they've accepted an offer to buy the stricken Premiership club. The offer from a consortium including members of Wasps legends is for only the men's team in Youth Academy. At the Rugby League World Cup, Lebanon have set up a quarter-final with Australia after beating Jamaica 74-12, and Tonga lead the Cook Islands by 10 points to 0. Balls on the centre spot. Second half commentary of Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest. Glenn Murray's with Ali Bruce Ball.
Thank you, Steve. Ball just been kicked off the centre spot by Gabriel Jesus in the red and white of Arsenal. They are playing from right to left in this second half. The perfect vantage point from the gantry here at the Emirates Stadium. So Arsenal defending the goal away to our right hand side, the clock end of this ground, and leading Nottingham Forest by a goal to 0. Obviously the Halloween themed tunes fading away, all played throughout half time and the start of the game. Don't know about in your household, Glenn. My eldest son is a bigger fan of Halloween than he is of Christmas.
Yeah, I think it's going that way a little bit, isn't it, in the country? Everyone dressed up around the capital today.
I got back to the house last night after Fulham Everton. It was like walking into a ghost train. Honestly, there are pumpkins and witches and skeletons and cobwebs all over the place. So that is tomorrow, of course.
So what, they hadn't cleaned up, Ali?
Here's Xhaka's ball forward. That's exactly the point I'm making, Glenn. Hit Steve Cook.
That's a low blow to the wife, that, Ali. That's a low blow.
and goes out for a throw-in to Arsenal. Bukayo Saka, rather worryingly for Arsenal and England, off injured in the first half. Very heavy challenge on him very early in the game from Renan Lodi. He couldn't quite shake that off. Had a little stumble on the dribble about 10 minutes after that. Tried to keep going a couple of times, but eventually had to give in. So Reece Nelson's come on. Aaron Ramsdale in goal, all in yellow away to our right. White, Saliba, Gabriel, Tomiyasu as a back four. Tomiyasu at left back. Partey, who's been a real creative force in the game actually for Arsenal, about to take a throw on the left alongside Xhaka. Reece Nelson, Ødegaard, Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus, the rest of that Arsenal team. Partey's throw enormous into the near post, half-headed away, nodded down into the Nottingham Forest box, and then Gibbs White clears with his left foot, and it becomes a race between Awoniyi and Saliba. Saliba wins it and plays it back to his goalkeeper Ramsdale.
Yeah, Saliba looks fast, doesn't he, on the turn there? And one you could get nowhere near him, and Arsenal back in possession, and the game falls into a similar pattern of the first half.
Yeah, I think it will be, won't it? Nottingham Forest playing on the counter, trailing by a goal to nil. Martinelli's early header. Ben White plays it to the right. Reece Nelson in the white boots plays it back to him. White with the outside of his right foot. Rare miscontrol from Ødegaard, but Jesus is there to collect it for Arsenal. Tries to find Ødegaard. Intercepted by Kouyaté, who plays one up to Awoniyi. Awoniyi trying to turn away from Saliba. Nice ball from Kouyaté, but no, it's just beyond Freuler, and then very quickly worked via about 3 Arsenal players to the right to Nelson, who's on a little shimmy in a dribble. Plays it back to Partey. The Arsenal fans encourage him to shoot. That wasn't really on. 25 yards out, so it's worked wide to the goal scorer Martinelli, having a bit of fun with the tricks, flicking the ball between right foot and left foot, back onto the right foot and rolled back to Partey on the edge of the box. Pass to his right to White, and now Nelson. And as Glenn Murray says, the second half has picked up exactly where the first half left off. Ball wide to Martinelli. Tomiyasu starts to make the run on the outside. Martinelli turns away from Aurier, plays it to Tomiyasu. He then makes a run on the outside. Tomiyasu goes it alone, gets that cross in. Jesus with the header. Henderson down to his left to make a pretty comfortable save.
Yes, brilliant play by Tomiyasu. He gets down the outside, then digs across out with his left foot. It's a fantastic cross to the back post. Jesus is the first to meet. He gets up, but unfortunately for him, he's backpedaling and takes most of the power out of the header.
Gibbs White ball forward. Awoniyi can't get there. Straight through to Aaron Ramsdale. Bowls it out underarm quickly to Partey. Arsenal fans urging their team on early in the second half. Great ball from Partey to Xhaka. Cut back to Jesus. Jesus sees Nelson in space, takes a touch onto the left foot. Great save, Henderson. Nelson with the rebound, smashes it into the roof of the net. Beautiful team football from Arsenal, and they lead Nottingham Forest by 2-0.
What a brilliant move by Arsenal. They sliced right through the heart of Nottingham Forest. It was Xhaka who got away. I thought he was going to hit his left foot. He's chopped it back into Jesus rolls it into Nelson's path. He cuts back in onto his left foot. He hits his first shot. Henderson meets it. He stands up to it, but unfortunately for the Nottingham Forest goalkeeper, it falls back into Nelson's path and he buries it into the top corner, and it's 2-0 Arsenal here at the Emirates.
According to my notes, only a second Premier League goal ever for young Reece Nelson. The other one came back in July 2020, so that was lockdown time, wasn't it, in a 2-1 win against Liverpool. So a first Premier League goal in front of a packed Emirates Stadium, and a beautiful finish on the rebound, planted into the top corner.
Yes, it was, yeah. I mean, I feel as though he should have finished the first one, but it was a good save by Henderson. And the second one, he made no mistake at all, and he rivals it in the top left-hand corner and wheels away, like you say, into a full Emirates Stadium, and it must be a real joy for the young man, because he's been at Arsenal an extremely long time.
Yeah, Arsenal 2, Nottingham Forest 0. Goal in the WSL, game between Chelsea and Villa. Victoria Polly.
Chelsea 2, Aston Villa 1. 2 minutes into the second half, Lauren James has got her second of the game. Chelsea breaking down the right-hand side, and she smashed home her second. And I tell you, someone who was particularly pleased to see that, Chelsea head coach Emma Hayes, recovering from emergency surgery, is in the stands away to my right-hand side. Chelsea 2, Aston Villa 1.
Brighton 0, Tottenham 4 it was at half-time in the WSL. Manchester United 1 up away to Everton. Manchester City 1-1 against Liverpool. Reading 0, Leicester 1. Here Arsenal 2, Nottingham Forest 0. John Murray and Chris Waddle, your commentary team. That'll be a great listen on the way home this afternoon. 4:15 kick-off, our second Premier League commentary of the day. That is Manchester United against West Ham. If Manchester United can win the game, They will be just 1 point off the top 4. We are top of the league near ringing round the Emirates Stadium. Arsenal win here, which looks likely now, takes them to 31 points, 2 points ahead of Manchester City. Lingard down the line to Awoniyi. Now Awoniyi is away down the left. Lingard's on the floor, complaining to the referee, but Nottingham Forest have it, so play continues. Ball is played back to Freuler. Low pass to his right, wide to Aurier. Aurier's cross in, headed away by Gabriel. Controlled on the edge of the penalty area by Nelson. Nelson to Xhaka. Arsenal so dangerous now. The game is opening up for them. And the Arsenal fans sense another. Martinelli brings it up to the edge of the box. Xhaka's worked so hard to make the run on the outside. Martinelli floats the cross to Jesus. Kills it stone dead. 2 step-overs. Rolls it to Ødegaard on the outside. Ødegaard tries a spin. Keeps the ball. Back to Jesus. Cross into the near post. Tucked away by Reiss Nelson. Second goal for him in the second half. Arsenal 3, Nottingham Forest 0.
Well, he didn't have to wait as long between his second and third as he did for his first and second for the club, and it's Reiss Nelson, only a matter of minutes after his second goal for the football club. He gets on the end of I think it was a Jesus cross. I mean, I got a little bit confused because Ødegaard and Jesus were doing pirouette after pirouette on the ball, step over, but they find Reiss Nelson in the middle of the goal, and it's a simple volley 4 yards out into the back of the Nottingham Forest net, and this game is dead and buried, considering that Nottingham Forest have only scored 1 goal away all season.
3-0 to Arsenal. 2 goals in 3 minutes from Reiss Nelson, having come on for Bukayo Saka, and this is a very neat finish. We'll just watch it on the replay again. Beautifully just cushioned on the angle into the far corner at the near post.
I mean, but the play between Ødegaard and Jesus is just special. I mean, Ødegaard lays it to Jesus, he crosses it first time, the weight on the pass is perfect to be able to do that, and then Reiss Nelson's movement and timing is right on the money, and it looks simple, but it's a brilliantly worked goal. And to think that he had to wait 2 years between his first and second goal and only 3 minutes between his second and third.
Yeah, in terms of Premier League goals, I'll definitely check that in my records, Glenn, but I think that's right. On loan to Feyenoord last season, but Mikel Arteta obviously liked what he saw in pre-season this time around, and Reiss, and that's what you've got to do. You know, we were talking at half-time about Arsenal's attacking threat possibly being diminished because they've lost Saka. Well, Reiss Nelson comes on and has scored 2 good goals. Ramsdale under pressure from Lingard, clears hurriedly with his right foot, and here's Partey inside his own half, and he plays it to Ben White, who's holding the top of his head, so might have taken a bump in an aerial challenge there.
We were chatting about Arsenal going forward and their lack of strength and depth, and like I said, I don't think it's a lack of quality, it's a lack of experience, I would say, probably, because they've got quality, and Reiss Nelson's come on and he's proved that, and those 2 goals will do in the world of good, especially if he gets a run of games and Saka is injured.
Ødegaard chasing down a back pass. Nottingham Forest have given it away. Partey heads it to his left to Tomiyasu. Arsenal all over Nottingham Forest. Here Tomiyasu goes for a long ball down the left. Jesus wanted it short and to feet. 9 minutes gone in the second half, and Arsenal lead Nottingham Forest by 3 goals to 0. I'm just going to double check my Reiss Nelson Premier League goals. Yes,
I was going to. It sounded to me like you were panicking a little bit.
I am a little
bit,
Glenn, because there's such a good line that you make in terms of the weight in time between the first and the second, and then the second and third come so quickly. So that's why we need to be right. It's my job.
Yes.
And if I don't get it right, there's a certain fella who's on 606 tonight who picks up on these things and then never lets you forget it.
There would have been a knock-on effect, wouldn't there, Ali? Because I made a good point and it would have all been false because of your original. But
we'd have to rewind the whole thing. Gibbs White's coming off. Could be one of those afternoons for Nottingham Forest, I'm afraid. Brennan Johnson is coming on. I said right at the start of the game, actually, first meeting in the league between these two since January 1999. Obviously, it was a regular encounter in the top flight from the late 70s through to the late 90s. Nottingham Forest actually only have 2 wins in their last 27 visits to Arsenal, going all the way back to 1964, both of which came under Brian Clough in the late 80s. Second change, Jesse Lingard is being jeered from the field, and Emmanuel Dennis replaces him. So Brennan Johnson and Emmanuel Dennis come on for Gibbs White and Lingard.
I think what's quite refreshing is that Steve Cooper's made 2 attacking substitutions. He's not thought that's the game done. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to defend what we haven't got, or we just don't want to be embarrassed. He's made a positive change, and he's hoping that his team can get a goal.
Yeah, away record is obviously a concern. Was always going to be tough, but so far now that's scored 1 away from home, conceded 17. This the 7th away game of the season. Arsenal 3, Nottingham Forest 0. No disgrace here though, Arsenal going top of the table. They are a very good team, playing some very good football this season. Ross County Hearts underway in the Scottish Premiership. Early goal for the home team. Ross County lead Hearts by a goal to 0. Livingston 0, Celtic 3. Despite a Giacomakis missed penalty in the second half of that game, so Celtic back to 4 points clear at the top of the Scottish Premiership. There's certainly someone I was mentioning earlier, of course, Chris Sutton on 6:06 this evening, alongside Robbie Savage, taking the calls from 6:30 through until 7:45. Reece Nelson on a hat-trick into the Nottingham Forest penalty area. Back to Partey! What a goal! What a wonderful strike with his right foot. That is a carbon copy of the goal he scored against Tottenham earlier this season. Special stuff from Arsenal. Arsenal 4, Nottingham Forest 0. And I think Dean Henderson's come rushing out to complain that he couldn't see or was potentially blocked by an Arsenal player in an offside position. It will be checked.
Yes, it will be checked. I'm not sure if it's just frustration at his own teammates and it's not what you need when you're 4-0 down, but what a strike from Thomas Partey. The Emirates absolutely erupted because he rifles it into the top left-hand corner, like you say, exactly like the game against Tottenham, and it's just a brilliant finish. He walks onto it, side foot, hard, high, precise. 4-0 Arsenal, game's dead and buried. How many can they get?
Yeah, complaints from Dean Henderson, absolutely not at the referee, at his fellow Nottingham Forest defenders. That is beautifully curled by Thomas Partey behind the body of Remo Freuler, right into the top corner. Match of the day too. Enjoy the goals this evening on BBC One. 4-0.
4-0, yes. I was just going to say that Reece Nelson has got a real spring in his step, and he looks more like an attacking player now. He was a little bit subdued when he came on. I think he was a bit cautious, maybe a bit nervous being introduced so early on, but since this second half kicked off, he just looks like a different player, and he was the one that assisted Thomas Partey there. He rolls a perfect ball back to him, and it's the right weight so they can hit it first time, and that's 2 goals and assist. What an afternoon.
Brennan Johnson's given the ball away. Ødegaard to Jesus, straight at Henderson, saves it with his legs. Should have been 5.
Yes, it should have been 5. Gabriel Jesus has to pass it into the left-hand corner of the net. Unfortunately, he passes it right at Dean Henderson's legs and makes the Nottingham Forest goalkeeper look good.
Well, Nottingham Forest losing their heads there. Brennan Johnson just passing the ball into space. Arsenal able to intercept, and it's led to this corner. Gabriel Jesus, without a goal in his last 6 games for Arsenal, will not get a better chance than that one. Trying to bend it into the far corner. Here they come again. Ødegaard, low ball into the near post, blocked by Aurier, and it goes out for a throw into Arsenal wide on the right. Coming up to the hour mark here, Arsenal leading Nottingham Forest by 4 goals to 0. Once we've seen what they do with this, we'll take you to Old Trafford. We've heard from John Murray already this afternoon, and very shortly he'll be able to bring us the team news ahead of our second Premier League commentary of the day, which is Manchester United against West Ham. Partey waiting to take the throw. Long run to the touchline. Good trajectory on it. Might fall to Ødegaard. Not able to hit the shot. It's cleared. Saliba plays it to Xhaka, who fancies a dip. It might fall to Ødegaard on the edge of the box. Nottingham Forest just desperately hack it away. Sliding challenge by Reece Nelson. The ball comes back to Tomiyasu. He in turn goes back to Ramsdale, who's able to put his right foot on the ball, completely slow things down inside his own half, and now plays it to Saliba. Saliba has Awoniyi coming towards him. Back to his goalkeeper on the edge of the box. Nottingham Forest are thinking about making another change. Rough afternoon for them. Still half an hour to go. They're going to be staying bottom of the Premier League table. Goal difference taking a beating, trailing by 4 goals to 0. And the mood Arsenal are in, you feel it could be more. Martinelli to Xhaka. Ødegaard running to his left. Xhaka holds on to it and plays it to Martinelli. Martinelli, corner of the Nottingham Forest area. Back to Xhaka. Offside flag goes up. Let's get that team news then from Old Trafford. Here's John Murray.
Cristiano Ronaldo is in the Manchester United team. So is Elanga. Sancho's only on the bench. And there's no Anthony at all. The word is the showboater has an injury. Also, Harry Maguire returns to the United starting lineup. Lindelof is absent, unwell. So that's 3 changes for Manchester United from last week's Premier League starting lineup. West Ham make just the 1. Craig Dawson returns for Johnson, who's a substitute. So Jared Bowen is fit to play.
Thank you, John. Craig Dawson named as one of Ellen White's favourite players earlier on 5 Live Sport this afternoon. If you missed any of the pre-match chat between 12 and 2, get yourself to the BBC Sounds app and you go searching for 5 Live. Look for the schedules, today's schedule, and you can head back to 12 o'clock and hear the start of the show. Some great football conversation. Saracens 5, Sale 8. Latest in the Rugby Union game that kicked off at 3 o'clock this afternoon in the Gallagher Premiership. Arsenal leading Nottingham Forest by 4-0. John Murray and Chris Waddle going to be bringing us Manchester United against West Ham in a while. Arsenal with defending to do. Here's Saliba up against Emmanuel Dennis. Dennis bumps into him twice. Saliba has to concede the throw. Double change coming for Arsenal. Double change coming for Nottingham Forest as well. So let's just deal with this. Martinelli's coming off. So Glenn, at this point, 4-0 up. This is about rest, recuperation. 4 fixtures still to come before the break for the World Cup. So Saka already off injured, but you can see why someone like Martinelli's getting the break.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, we can see that Mikel Arteta is making changes for rest purposes. His team have done enough this afternoon to be able to give him that opportunity to give his big hitters and his main players a little bit of much-needed rest, I think. And then we can see from a Nottingham Forest perspective, it's to try and close that back door. We praised Steve Cooper for bringing a couple of attacking substitutes on just earlier, but now he's bringing 2 defensive substitutes on, and that's just to stem this flow of Arsenal and trying to keep this game respectable.
Fabio Vieira is coming on for Martinella. Cedric Suarez is going to get a first appearance of the season, comes on for Tomiyasu. Nico Williams and Joe Worrell waiting to come on for Nottingham Forest. Chelsea Villa updating the WSL. Victoria Polly.
An hour gone, Chelsea 2, Aston Villa 1. Things have just got a little bit messy though. Chelsea want to tighten up and try and get that 3rd goal because Aston Villa are enjoying a spell of pressure, and that's exactly how they got their equaliser in the first half. Chelsea 2, Aston Villa 1.
2 o'clock kickoffs in the WSL this afternoon. Tottenham running riot away at Brighton, leading by 5-0 now, and Manchester United have a second away to Everton. Everton 0, Manchester United 2. So all the changes have been made. Nottingham Forest have a throw wide on the left. Nico Williams will take it. It's laid back to him by Emmanuel Dennis. He's easily dispossessed by Reece Nelson, who's got 2 goals to his name and will definitely fancy the hat-trick and feel there's time for it and space for it in this game. Xhaka tackled by Worrell. Worrell in from behind. Free kick to Arsenal. So John Murray with Manchester United, West Ham later on, talking about heavyweight contests. This week's game of sudden death was me against John Murray, Glenn, on the Fantasy 606 podcast.
And I've just seen your team as well. You haven't done that well this week, have you?
No, I've not. So the category in sudden death this week, though, suited me, considering my surname.
I actually watched it.
Oh, did you? You saw it, did you?
I enjoyed it. I watched it about 5 minutes before I went to bed, and I don't think I quite made the end.
Players with double-barreled surnames.
Oh, how exciting.
Who played in the Premier League. Suarez immediately in the action. Vieira chasing the ball down the right-hand side. Bumped shoulder to shoulder, and the ball goes behind for a corner to Arsenal, who lead Nottingham Forest by 4-0. So, yes.
No, I'm only playing Ali because I was really impressed with how many you knew. Because when the topic came up, I was thinking, I think I had 2 or 3 tops.
Yeah, it's one of those that when they're said to you afterwards, you think, oh, God, yeah, of course. I mean, Loftus-Cheek was one we didn't get. They sort of trip off the tongue. But when you're under pressure, they can be tricky. Corner for Arsenal, 25 minutes to go. Ødegaard's ball in, headed away by Yates. Back to Ødegaard. Ødegaard, corner of the Nottingham Forest area on the right. Another beautiful delivery in. Ben White leaps for this one. Partey heads it to his left. Reece Nelson. Back to Xhaka. Oh, it's a nice turn from Xhaka to get away from Johnson. Xhaka plays it to Nelson. Nelson goes for the deep cross to the far post. Fabio Vieira's there, miscues on the half volley. Slightly put off by a teammate in front of him, Gabriel. And the ball goes behind for the goal kick for Nottingham Forest.
Come on then, tell us more, Ali.
No, that's it really, that's it. So, I mean, John is a steely competitor, so he's a tough man to beat. So it was a
Who
good
won?
win. I did.
You won.
Yeah, I just.
Oh, that's right. He said it was a Man City player that hadn't quite played in the Premier League. That's right, wasn't it? Who was it?
Josh Wilson.
So you won by default.
Flick on here for Emmanuel Dennis. Has got the Arsenal goal in his sights and flicks the ball across to Brennan Johnson. Can't quite find him. Johnson chases with White. Johnson goes down in a bit of pain, holding his lower back. Players allowed to continue. Arsenal leading Nottingham Forest by 4-0. Back to Chelsea Villa in the WSL. Victoria Polly.
Chelsea 3, Aston Villa 1. I said they needed another goal to shore things up. That's what they've got. Lauren James setting up Sam Kerr this time for Chelsea's third of the afternoon.
Brighton 0, Tottenham 7 in the WSL. 2 goals each in that one for Ash Neville and Drew Spence so far. So Brighton's men with a big win yesterday, of course, over Chelsea, but Brighton's women today having a tough time of it at home to Tottenham. Nottingham Forest 4-0 down here. Gabriel Jesus is in. Angles tight. Can't beat Henderson. It looked to me, Glenn, you tell me, because you've been out there and done this, he was thinking about a possible lob there, delayed, and then the angle just got too tight.
Well, running behind, that's debatable if I've ever done that, Ali. No, it was a really good movement by Jesus. He gets, well, Joe Worrell gets underneath the ball, he gets all lost, and he gets behind him. And Dean Henderson does really well because he doesn't really come, but he doesn't really stay either, and he kills his space and he leaves Jesus in a couple of minds.
Ødegaard's corner nearly flicked on at the near post by Gabriel, cleared to the halfway line. So last score I gave you from Ross County Hearts was 1-0 to Ross County early on. Hearts have replied twice. Ross County 1, Hearts 2. Arsenal 4, Nottingham Forest 0. Shankland in the 15th minute, Halliday in the 20th minute. 2 goals for Hearts in 5 minutes. Celtic 3-0 winners away to Livingston in the 12 o'clock kickoff today. Xhaka plays it back to Cedric Suarez, to Ramsdale. Ramsdale closed down, but very calm on the ball to Xhaka. Xhaka lays it off to Saliba. Here's Partey. Lot of space for Arsenal to play in here now. Ødegaard picking it up in between the lines, running up to the edge of the box, outside of the football to Jesus. It just won't quite run for him. Almost beat Worrell, couldn't quite, and the ball's gone behind for a goal kick.
Yes, Ødegaard really seems to be looking for his number 9 for Jesus. I think the whole side want to see their striker back on the score sheet, and they're trying to look for him at every opportunity.
Dean Henderson, Forest keeper, clears with his right foot. Aurier heads it infield. Xhaka misses with the challenge on Yates. Plays continues. Yates chases the ball forward, heads it forward. Overhead clearance from Gabriel, which the Arsenal fans enjoyed. Worrell's pass, Yates is down, and the referee's just going to stop the game for a second here because Yates is in a little bit of discomfort. So coming up to 24 minutes gone in the second half. Arsenal 4, Nottingham Forest 0. It was tight at half-time. It was 1-0 to Arsenal at half-time. Reece Nelson then scored 2 in the space of 3 minutes. And Thomas Partey, probably with the goal of the game, you'd say, actually, the right foot curler from outside the area, with the 4th, which is taking Arsenal to the top of the table.
I think Ryan Yates just got a slight knock in the face from Gabriel there as Gabriel was shrugging him off. Yates was falling down and Gabriel just sort of pushed him to the floor and just caught him in the mouth, and Yates, who already approached this game with a cut on his nose and a black eye, will have another mark on his face. He's a real warrior, Ryan Yates, and he's the type that you need in your midfield if you want to stay in the Premier League. He'll give 100% every single moment of every game, whether you're winning or losing, and he's definitely the type of character you need.
Play back underway. Remo Freuler with the high diagonal to the left. Ben White heads it away. Partey, little ball poked to Ødegaard. Back to Partey, forward to Jesus. Stretches and can't quite control it. And Jesus and Partey look at each other and sort of half think about blaming each other, and then remember they're 4-0 up and don't really need to be too concerned about it. But it is the details with every single move, every single pass that's important. Jesus battling with Yates. He's lost out. Freuler to Kouyaté. Cross to McKenna, and McKenna plays back to his goalkeeper Dean Henderson. 20 minutes to play. Arsenal leading Nottingham Forest by 4-0 here. Kouyaté has turned into trouble. Fabio Vieira, young Portuguese, onto it for Arsenal. Kouyaté takes it off him though. McKenna back to his goalkeeper Henderson. Ødegaard comes rushing in to put him under pressure. Henderson scoops it away with his right foot. Cedric Suarez jumps and wins the header. Xhaka plays it to Partey. Back to Xhaka. Reece Nelson calling for it on the left. So Reece Nelson wide left now. Fabio Vieira wide right, Ødegaard in that number 10 role, and Gabriel Jesus looking for this first goal in 7 games for Arsenal. Ben White plays it to the right to Vieira, back to White, here's Ødegaard, first time ball to Partey, given to Ødegaard again, into the feet of Xhaka, edge of the box, back to Ødegaard, does well to control that, keeps moving to his right, thinks about a little back heel, that's one trick too many. Nico Williams intercepts, ball is passed to the left to Brennan Johnson, Emmanuel Dennis making the run ahead of him, Gabriel matching him stride for stride, gets back there, gets his body in the way, shepherds it all the way down to the byline and behind for the goal kick to Arsenal.
Yes, Gabriel shepherded that for a good 15 yards, didn't he, with Dennis almost hanging on his back so strongly, Arsenal centre-back. But got a quick question for you, Ali.
Oh yeah.
Don't look at my pad. Arsenal are unbeaten by promoted teams for how many games?
I know that.
Oh,
I know
do you
that.
already?
So going into this one, against promoted teams.
You did have a good look over my shoulder there.
No. I did look at this one before the game. So I think coming into this one, 39 was it? Unbeaten in 39 games against promoted teams. Is that right or wrong?
It's a swing and a miss.
Is it?
I think it was 34.
Oh, you're right as well. Hang on. 34 home games. Did you say home games? I think you just said games.
No, it's not home games.
Here's Partey. Partey plays it to Cedric Suarez, wide to Nelson. Continue that little debate in a second. Nelson back to Cedric. Arsenal totally in control, leading by 4 goals to 0. I've got the follow-up question as well, which I'm sure you're going to know actually. Cedric dummies across, curls this one in with his right foot. Nico Williams heads it straight across his own box. Worrell tries to head it away. Vieira gets a little push in the back from Kouyaté. He gets away with that. And now Arsenal have defending to do. Ben White up against Nico Williams. He lets Williams get there and then just drops off. And then Williams plays a good ball to Dennis. Dennis trying to turn Gabriel. Oh, Gabriel tugging his arm. Dennis turns back onto his right foot, trying to make space for the shot. Can't quite do it. Arsenal now back in numbers. And Gabriel did his job in the end. Slight risk with just a grab at the shirt there.
Dennis had the chance to put it across to Brennan Johnson, but he didn't. He decided to go back on himself. He should have played it across because Brennan Johnson was wide open at the far stick. Newcastle.
So I've got Arsenal unbeaten in 34 home games against promoted teams.
No, it's since 2010, Ali.
129 drawn 5. And
so
who was the team that beat them? That's the question.
Newcastle.
Oh right, you said that, have you? Who scored the goal?
That would be, give me a second, that would
big
be...
centre forward, long hair.
Oh, big Andy Carroll.
Big number 9 scored the goal. And which manager then lost his job 5 games later for Newcastle to be replaced by Alan Pardew? Arsenal 4, Nottingham Forest 0. Ødegaard's ball over the top is beyond Xhaka and with Dean Henderson. Also managed Brighton. I've given that away now.
Oh, yeah, I know that one. I know that one.
Go on then.
Chris Hught.
There you go. Which
ridiculous sacking.
Seemed a little harsh, didn't it, at the time? Seemed a little harsh at the time. Just 5 games after the 1-0 when I actually did that game. I remember Carroll scoring the goal. Here's Reece Nelson, who's made a name for himself in this game. We'll have to find out after the game about Bukayo Saka's injury. And Nketiah and Tierney are waiting to come on here for Arsenal. I think Forest have got one more change available to them if I've totted them up right. Nico Williams is one of the subs on. Right-footed cross right across the face of the Arsenal goal. Ramsdale lets it go and it goes behind for the goal kick.
I think from an Arsenal perspective, as we look down and they're going to make another couple of substitutions, and Nketiah and Tierney are stripped and ready to enter the field of play. I think one thing will be a real positive for Arsenal, like I say, if it does stay this way, is to keep a clean sheet. I think they haven't kept this clean sheet for 10 Premier League home games, which is a massive plus for Mikel Arteta.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point, Glenn. They're winning games at home but conceding goals at the same time. So 15 minutes to go, standing ovation, another fabulous performance from Granit Xhaka. Goodness me, he's turned it around at Arsenal. Huge high five and a hug from Mikel Arteta. That Xhaka-Partey partnership working wonders for Arsenal this season. Tierney on for Saliba, so Saliba gets a break. Ben White into central midfield, Cedric Suarez to the right and Kieran Tierney to the left. So that just mixes it up for Arsenal as they try and keep this clean sheet in the last 15 minutes of the game. But that is quality coming onto the field for Arsenal in terms of squad depth. This is a very young squad, but Kieran Tierney is, an extremely good player who can't get a start for Arsenal at the moment.
Yeah, it just shows how strong they are, and he's one on the bench that you look at and you say He's quality and he is experienced, and if asked, he will provide the goods. But one person I think that stepped onto the field of play today, and he's learning a little bit of a lesson about not only the Premier League but about English football, is Fabio Vieira. He looks quite lightweight out there. He's been caught on a couple of occasions. In fact, the third time he's been caught there, he's given a free kick away by Ryan Yates, and he gets a good shove from the ex-Spurs right back Serge Aurier.
That was so unnecessary from Aurier. Fabio Vieira played himself into trouble, was scrambling around on the floor just trying to stop Yates run away with the ball. The free kick was given, and then Aurier just trying to push his weight around, basically comes up to little Vieira, who's quite a sort of scrawny looking lad in midfield, and just gives him a sort of pantomime shove.
That will be something that I think he will have to work on. His quality is there for all to see. He's a brilliant forward passer and a creator of goals and chances. But I think that is one area he will need to work on, is his physicality to be a success in the Premier League. 14
minutes to play. Glenn Murray with you on 5 Live and BBC Sounds this afternoon. Arsenal very comfortable here, going back to the top of the Premier League table, leading Nottingham Forest by 4-0. They've made the changes now. Kieran Tierney, high lofted ball out to Reece Nelson. Lovely first time ball back to Cedric Suarez. Cross into the area. Steve Cook heads it away. Partey's underneath it. Uses his thigh to pass that to Vieira. That's a nice ball from Vieira. Partey into Jesus on the turn. Played to Ødegaard. Oh my word! 5-0. Rocket of a shot into the top corner. Caps a fabulous afternoon for Arsenal. And Ødegaard, for his part in it, deserves that as well.
What a brilliant finish from Ødegaard, and the link up and the understanding between him and Jesus. Everything that happens for Arsenal good comes through those two, and he gets an opportunity. The ball's at his feet in the 18-yard box. He does a little jink, flicks it onto his left, and he rifles it into the top corner. Another fabulous goal by Arsenal, and they're in flowing form. 5-0 at the Emirates.
Match of the day 2 tonight. Well worth a watch. Possibly not if you're a Nottingham Forest fan, but Ødegaard always, wherever he is on the pitch, no matter how many people there are around him, seems to have time, makes the space for the shot, then picks his spot. What a finish.
I mean, that shows the true class of a player. No matter how little space he's got, he always seems cool and calm and finds a route out of trouble. I mean, he's a fantastic player for me, a man that I thoroughly enjoy watching.
Emmanuel Dennis trying to get a cross into the box for Nottingham Forest, so they're on the end a bit of a hiding this afternoon. Their games coming up before the World Cup break. Actually 3 games coming at home for them. Brentford at home in the Premier League next week. Tottenham then go to them in the next round of the League Cup, and then they've got Crystal Palace at home as well. Bottom of the table, not cut adrift, but Brentford home, Palace home look like 2 really important games for them. They've got an attacking corner here. They're trailing Arsenal 5-0. Nico Williams in front of the Forest fans. Ball curled in, flicked on by Worrell, drops inside the 6-yard box. Arsenal able to hack it away. Partey clears.
I think the disappointing thing from a Nottingham Forest perspective will be, obviously, after a massive win,
Williams cross in, attacked at the far post by Brennan Johnson. Great defending by Tierney, gets the touch behind it, goes for a corner.
Against Liverpool last week is that this was a free hit coming to the Emirates. They would have been confident. I think they would have liked to try and stay in the game longer and would have hoped they could have got something out of it. But the 2 games you mentioned, 2 home games, they will be massive, and we've talked about their fans. The 12th man, that'll be huge for them going into the World Cup break.
Yeah, absolutely. Corner, Nottingham Forest. Can they find themselves a consolation goal? Nico Williams corner, good delivery from his right foot. Now Arsenal will be dangerous on the counter if they can get it away. Ben White heads it to Jesus. Look at the red and white shirt streaming forward. Volley pass by Vieira, saw the opportunity. Tierney's over wide on the right wing. 7-8 players charging up around him and behind him in support. Gives it to the magician Ødegaard. Ødegaard dragged down by Kouyaté, but is able to get the pass away. Ødegaard gets it again. Threads it through the eye of a needle. Here's Tierney. Back to Vieira. Vieira delays the pass and dummies it. Rolls it back into midfield. Gabriel suddenly has to get involved in a 50-50. That'll go out for a Nottingham Forest throw. On the left, Manchester United's women now 3-0 up away to Everton. And Manchester City in the WSL lead Liverpool by 2-1 in our featured game. Chelsea leading Aston Villa 3-1. and Tottenham have scored 7 away at Brighton. Lewis O'Brien is back from illness, having missed the last few games for Nottingham Forest. He's going to come on for Kouyaté, so he gets 10 minutes of action late in the game to bustle around and work hard for Nottingham Forest. 15 all as well in the Gallagher Premiership between Saracens and Sale. That kicked off at 3 o'clock. Manchester United against West Ham United. You're only going to have about 20 minutes or so to make the cup of tea and get the biscuits before settling in for that one, because it kicks off at 4:15 this afternoon. Engineer Tanya actually outdoing our producer Rob Knockham on the biscuit front.
Easily.
I mean, unbelievable performance from Tanya with a chocolate. It was a dark chocolate and ginger Florentine. And poor old Rob Shortbread just unfortunately paled, which is harsh because we didn't bring anything, did we, Glenn?
We'll get nothing next time.
We'll get nothing.
What are you doing, Ali?
You're right. We're very grateful to the pair of them. Last 10 minutes of the game. Arsenal 5, Nottingham Forest 0. Nice from Steve Cook, under pressure from Jesus. Moves away from him inside his own half. McKenna floated ball down the left. And Ben White leaps high. Versatility of Ben White, playing right back this season, but can slot in at centre-back. There he is. Heads the ball out of play. Throw into Nottingham Forest on the left. And it's one of those where the Arsenal fans have got very excited second half, and when Arsenal come on the counter like this, they will again, but they almost seem sated in a way, like the sort of lions on the plains who've had their feed. Pass intercepted from Vieira. Worrell plays it into midfield to Yates. Freuler to Yates, quick 1-2, and everything just seems to have slowed down a little bit. We are top of the league. Chance starts up again just as I say that. Aurier looking for Dennis. Dennis is tackled. Arsenal claim it's a throw to them. Get the decision as well. So Kieran Tierney will take it. And just to remind you as well, Champions League commentaries, a big one in particular Tuesday night. I know John Murray is heading over to southern France. Marseille against Tottenham. That group totally up for grabs. Tottenham, I think, start the night top of the group, but away to Marseille won't be easy. Great stadium that as well, the Stade Velodrome. So John will be there. Bringing you commentary of that one on Tuesday night, and then we've got Manchester City against Sevilla in full on Wednesday night, and the draw for the last 16 of the Champions League is Monday, November the 7th. Manchester City, Liverpool and Chelsea are already into that last 16. Here's O'Brien off the bench for Nottingham Forest. Ball is played back to Dean Henderson. Arsenal closing a net around the Forest players inside their own half, but they've got the skills to get out of it. Ball forward, looking for Brennan Johnson, easily intercepted by Ben White. White plays back to Gabriel, who limped off actually Thursday night, hobbled off down the tunnel after the PSV game. Was a little bit of a doubt for this one, but is going to play the whole 90 minutes if he doesn't get injured in the remaining 7 minutes plus added time. Ball with Ben White, walking pace forward to Partey. Had to pick a Is it too tricky, Glenn, to pick a sort of Arsenal man of the match here in terms of an individual performance, or would you go more for a team thing this afternoon?
I do think that the team's been exceptional. Obviously, you've got to give a shout out to Reece Nelson, 2 goals and assists on as an early substitute. But for me, I think everything that's happened for Arsenal has come through Thomas Partey.
Yeah, I agree with you. Definitely, really growing into his role here. Arsenal have won a corner as well. Jesus looking for the run of Reece Nelson down the right. Nelson was tackled, and the ball's gone behind for the corner. Thomas Partey now into his 3rd season at Arsenal, and this season we're very much seeing the best of him. Are Arsenal going to get a 6? Nottingham Forest lost 6-0 away to Manchester City earlier this season. Ødegaard's corner, flicked on by White. Oh, Jesus at the far post, somehow hasn't got a foot on it. And at the moment you feel, is he ever going to score again? Of course he will, but just went right past him.
Yes, it seemed to, and I thought actually that the original header from Ben White that he glances towards the far post was going to drop into the side net. It must be awfully close as we see a replay here. And Gabriel Jesus is attacking that back post, and he just sticks out a leg, and Steve Cook just does enough to put the Brazilian off, and the wait goes on.
It does. 5 minutes to go in the game. Arsenal 5, Nottingham Forest 0, headed forward by Aurier. Nottingham Forest are still putting the effort in, but conserving a bit of energy as well, I think, for Brentford game next week. Partey plays it to Ben White. White into Ødegaard. Ødegaard lays it off to Cedric Suarez inside the Arsenal half. Back to White, first time ball, bounces and spins. Jesus tries to spin Steve Cook. Cook clears it on the half volley. Williams controls for Nottingham Forest. Is fouled. Free kick.
I mean, when the Arsenal coaching staff and hierarchy break this game down on, I would imagine, Monday or Tuesday morning, I think the only disappointment will be is that Jesus hasn't got on the score sheet.
Yeah. Manchester United's women have a third goal. Not sure if I mentioned that. Everton 0, Manchester United 3. Latest in the WSL. Full commentary on Arsenal West Ham this evening. Aurier's cross straight at Ramsdale at the near post. Slumps down on top of the ball. And if you're an NFL fan, after Arsenal West Ham, our regular Sunday night coverage, Giants at the Seahawks. You're an NFL man, Glenn?
Yeah, I do like it, you know, but my team are rubbish.
Go on. Who are they?
Carolina Panthers.
Are they? I'm a Raiders man.
Yeah? Any reason?
Marcus Allen, back in the day when I got into it, sort of early 80s, and they won the Super Bowl. Marcus Allen, number 32, he used to wear for the Raiders. They're the Vegas Raiders now, of course, rather than the LA Raiders. But tonight it's Giants at Seahawks on Sports Extra. Ball brought forward by Suarez, played to the right to Reece Nelson. Nelson's crossing, it's behind Ødegaard.
It looked like Ødegaard was going to walk onto that, didn't he, and head it, but it was just a little bit too high for him.
Nketiah, since coming on, has not seen much of the ball. He's having one of those frustrating ones where he's making the runs and it's not coming to him. Nelson's low ball. Fabio Vieira tries to hit the shot. Jesus is still in there. He then pumps into Nketiah. Nketiah shoves him out of the way and says, I want to touch. Here's Tierney, wide on the left. Low cross in. That might run to Nketiah. Plays it back to Jesus. Hits the shot, blocked by Worrell. Partey doesn't get it right this time. And the Arsenal fans cheer loudly anyway. He's blasted it over the bar. Goes behind for a goal kick. If Arsenal get a penalty in the closing stages of the game, is Gabriel Jesus going to take it? That's my question to you.
That is a huge question, Ali. Well, I can't help but feel that
it would be Saka, but he's obviously not on the field.
Well, no, I think you've got to give it to Reece Nelson to get a hat-trick.
Yeah, good point.
I mean, I know that you'd want Jesus to get on the score sheet. Listen, he will get on the score sheet, no doubt about it. Eventually, if he keeps doing what he's doing, putting himself in the positions he's putting himself in this afternoon, the goal will come, and from that point on, there'll probably be a whole host of them. But for me, if a penalty comes, it's got to be Reece Nelson for a hat-trick.
89th minute of the game, Arsenal 5, Nottingham Forest 0. Arsenal's goal difference now up to plus 19. So Manchester City, obviously everyone was talking about their goal difference, plus 26. But having now played the same number of games, 7 goals behind. I know that's still quite a lot, but that's good from Arsenal. Cross into their area, and Cedric Suarez taking absolutely no chances, just heads it behind for a Nottingham Forest corner. Arsenal 5, Forest 0. Nelson with 2. And Martinelli got them off to a flyer. Thomas Partey, though, with the goal of the game, curling it into the top corner. Ødegaard not far behind with the Arsenal 5th. Williams wanting some movement inside that penalty area. 6 Nottingham Forest players in there. Ramsdale, tall figure, stretches high and grabs it.
Have you read the stat, Ali, about 28 points from 11 games? Only Newcastle have failed to win the Premier League from this position.
Yeah.
Are you starting to believe, Ali?
Well, I think that stat is a little unfair on Arsenal, because it's almost saying, well, if you get yourself into that position, you've got to win the league. But Manchester City are in this league, and look at what they've done in the,
Well, yeah, I think you're right. I don't think they were in the league when Newcastle did it, were they?
No, but they were up against a similarly dominant team, weren't they, in terms of Manchester United? Yeah. And Nketiah plays it back to Partey. Shoot, say the Arsenal fans. Partey doesn't fancy that. Heading towards added time at the end of the game. Arsenal 5, Nottingham Forest 0. Switch pass from Partey. Oh, good turn edge of the box from Nketiah. Doesn't quite run for him. Reece Nelson couldn't collect the clearance. Emmanuel Dennis throws himself to the floor. That is pathetic. And Simon Hooper's not buying it. And that is a potential candidate for the simulation game this evening. Not touched, trying to win the late free kick. Referee not buying it. Oh, now that's loose from Nketiah. Ben White's there, runs forward, clears high, and Nketiah can't keep that in, throwing to Nottingham Forest in their right back position.
As the 4th official appears, and we have 3 minutes added time.
Yeah, it was tight at half time. Nottingham Forest were in the game, conceded early. Brennan Johnson's header there has gone straight to Reece Nelson. Are we going to get the fairy tale finish for young Reece Nelson? 2 quick goals for him. Only his 2nd and 3rd ever in the Premier League for Arsenal this afternoon. Can he find the hat-trick? Cross comes in from Cedric Suarez, beyond Nketiah, Aurier, not the best header away. Fabio Vieira's cross in, Jesus jumps, can't get to that one, headed away, edge of the box by Freuler. Partey is there, little 1-2 with Nelson, comes to Ødegaard, fans expectant, Reece Nelson, down to the byline, back heels it, and Jesus couldn't quite get onto it to try and fire the shot away. Lewis O'Brien plays out from inside his own half. Ben White's got some chasing to do. The ball actually hits Ben White's back. He watches it all the way, takes it off Brennan Johnson's toe, and Arsenal have it again.
That would have been a fantastic goal there. Reece Nelson gets away. I thought he was going to chip the onrushing Henderson for a hat-trick, but he doesn't. He goes by him and he tries to backheel it back into the middle of the box, but unfortunately it gets cut out.
Ball played by Jesus, wide to Nelson. Keep ball from Arsenal. Last 2 minutes of the game. Manchester United, West Ham on the way here on 5 Live. Kicks off at 4:15. Chris Sutton and Robbie Savage. 6:06 from 6:30 through until 7:45. And then the Mexican Grand Prix in full on 5 Live and BBC Sounds this evening. And as always, the Football Daily podcast there for you later tonight. First thing tomorrow morning to round everything up on the football front. Just go to the BBC Sounds app, search for the Football Daily and click subscribe. Arsenal just playing keep ball inside their own half, heading back to the top of the league, 2 points clear of Manchester City, having played 12 games so far this season. The game postponed, of course, in the Premier League was to be between Arsenal and Manchester City, which would have been a very interesting watch. So we've still got 2 of those to come this season, which is great.
So, Ali, do you think that the break's going to be a good thing or a bad thing for this Arsenal team?
I guess it depends who comes back fit from the World Cup, Glenn, is one thing.
Well, it looks like their main man's not going to be involved, doesn't it, Jesus?
Possibly, yeah, good point.
I think, am I right in saying that the 3 number 9s in the league, Núñez, Haaland and Jesus, are all getting a rest? Is that right, or is Núñez going?
Go on, I think he'll go, won't he? He'll go, won't he? Hang on.
Oh no, sorry, it's Salah. It's Salah that gets a rest.
Salah doesn't go. Yeah, Núñez will go with Uruguay, won't he?
And Salah isn't going.
Yeah, Salah gets a rest. Okay. Last minute of the game here, last seconds of the game. Nico Williams bringing it forward for Nottingham Forest. Hits the shot with his right foot. The last test for Ramsdale is passed with flying colours. The shot hit straight at him. He grabs it. Arsenal have a home win, but this time with a clean sheet. And they've absolutely thumped Nottingham Forest to go back to the top of the Premier League table. Martinelli gave them the early lead. Saka then went off injured, but they took flight in the second half. Reece Nelson replacing Saka, scoring his 2nd and 3rd Premier League goals for the club in the space of 3 minutes. And then actually, Glenn, icing on the cake, a couple of worldies from Thomas Partey's right foot and Martin Ødegaard's left foot. You asked me the question, so I'll turn it back on you. Are they serious title contenders? Can they take Manchester City all the way?
Listen, from a personal point of view, I probably think they can, but we've got to give them the respect they deserve, and they are top of the Premier League at this point. If they can go into the World Cup break top of the Premier League, why can't they come back and win it? Like we said, Jesus is going to get a break. He'll be nice and fresh. Listen, when you've got a young side like this, special things can happen. We've seen it with Manchester United, the famous quote, you never win anything with kids. Well, this could be another group that prove everyone wrong.
Impressive stuff from Arsenal again this Sunday afternoon. Next Sunday they're away at Chelsea. Before that, FC Zurich at home on Thursday night, and Nottingham Forest are off to lick their wounds. They remain bottom of the Premier League table. The goal difference has taken a battering. No disgrace in that second half though. Arsenal just way too good. Arsenal 5, Nottingham Forest 0.